10?
Yes, 5 and 10.
Yes.
That sounds reasonable.
Wait, hold on. No.
Okay.
No?
Not 5 and 10.
Mine was not. Mine was ahead, but mine was ahead or behind. Let's do 15 and 20.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Boom.
Kapow, as the children say.
That's the stuff. Hostess. All right. No video, Sam. Okay. Sam?
Sam's gone.
No, there he is.
Sam.
Oh, he was getting the baby.
Sam, you got a spider on you. Watch out.
I would like to see the baby.
Oh.
I just got handed a baby.
Oh.
That's a very cute baby.
Your baby's
Cuter
so
than
cute.
most babies.
Hi, baby.
I don't think babies are usually as cute as most people think babies are cute.
How does
That's
your
cute,
baby's eyes work? He has 4 of them. No, now he has 3. But
Got a giant spider on him. I'd watch out.
watch out! Here comes the Spider-Man.
Spider baby.
That's pretty adorable.
Also, he has Spider-Man socks on.
Oh my god.
That's good.
You can't
That's
really
good.
see.
That,
I dressed him this morning.
I can tell. I wonder if is this gonna be the kind of thing where he's gonna resent Spider-Man by age 4?
Yes.
No, he'll be like 8, and it'll be like fucking Spider-Man. God damn.
Should have named me Miles.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a special guest while Fiona goes to the toilet. But I'll
Sick.
mute myself if he gets a bit funny.
I'm always up for the special guest. He's so cute.
All right.
Did I send you guys the GIF earlier?
Yes.
I think I
Of him
did.
popping
Yes,
around
yes.
the corner. Yes.
Oh, I haven't found that. Oh, there
No,
it
I
is.
haven't either.
That's very good.
It's a really good GIF.
It is very good. That's actually one that that's a gift that
Oh.
other people, I could see other people using for things. If
It's
you
a
want your
gift that
child to
keeps
go
on
viral.
No, unfortunately, we have a ban on pictures of PP on the internet.
That's good. That's
That's
not,
good. That's really good.
that's
I
a
mean,
good decision.
You can't
That's-
out Spider-Man like that.
That's a good rule
Yeah.
for life, though. Banning PP pictures from internet.
Yeah. Anthony Weiner, I tried to get in touch with him, tell him my idea, but he's not on board.
Speaking of wieners.
All right. We ready?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh wait, give me 1 second just so I can get the timestamp ready.
Yeah.
Yep, ready.
Hello and welcome to Gaming Fix, episode 106 on this February 1st, 2020. Wow, 2020. Who would have thought? I'm your host, Andre Cole, aka your girl's favorite Fast and Furious movie. I'm joined today by Alex Galinas.
I've only seen half of one Fast and Furious movie,
Which one?
Tokyo Drift.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. Also joined by Allison Saigan.
I've only seen the first Fast and Furious movie, so I think I've got some catching up to do.
Didn't you say you own a collection of
Yep.
like 7 of the movies?
Yes, I do. because it was on sale for like $20, so I was like,
I think I bought
why
that
not?
same collection. Is it like in a white
Yeah.
case and it has a light up speedometer? Yeah, and then it has an empty spot where you can put in the 8th movie, which I did.
Yeah, I
Wait,
have
really? It does?
Yeah, and I had because it
Now
came
I
out
wish I
right
had
before
bought
the
that.
8th movie. I mean, you could probably get it on sale or like a new
It,
one. that has
like I
it.
said, I literally got it for like $20.
Oh yeah, no,
so-
it was real cheap for a while.
Yeah, they do those for every Fast and Furious film.
Wait, who was that
With
spoke?
the one with a space.
So we have 2 people who have broken protocol and talked before their turn.
I'm talking about
Pat
interesting topics before my turn.
Hey, absolutely, we will do that, and you must not talk. And also rudely interrupting Sam Harrison.
I live my life a quarter pod at a time.
I live my life 1 cup of Onyx Coffee Labs, Ethiopia Bensa Shantawan.
They didn't pay for this. Alex, bleep that. All right. Well, is video games, everybody. How about them?
Should we introduce
Yay,
the
video
interrupter?
games.
Nah, let's not introduce the interrupter. We'll introduce him at the end.
I said Pat.
Oh, I got
but
introduced. I just
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
given a chance to say anything when it was my
Gotcha.
turn.
You
Gotcha.
spoke before your turn. That was your chance to speak. Man, that Fast and Furious trailer, huh?
Speaking of protocol, video game podcast, no Fast and Furious. Moving on.
Oh, wait until you see the doc.
Oh, God.
Anyway, yeah, it's video games. We played them. Some of us did. Some of
was
us
kinda
played the
kidding.
same
We could-
games.
We could talk
Some
about
of
Fast
us
and
like
Furious.
them.
Okay, so I haven't seen the trailer. What's so crazy
Oh.
about it? I've just seen talk about the trailer.
There's a lot of craziness.
There's a lot of
It's
stuff in that
John
trailer.
Cena.
So-
Okay, so spoilers for
Fast and Furious
9, the trailer.
Yeah.
But
John
the
Cena.
trailer like spoils some things that they should not have spoiled.
The trailer spoils like that entire movie. It seems
Yeah.
like.
I told one of my friends, I was like, if you think you can go unspoiled until May, don't watch the trailer or just watch it until you see the logo.
If you're not going to go to any movies between now and May,
Or open
and-
Twitter.
or yeah, like everyone was just immediately
everyone
talking
spoiled it
about
on
apparently.
Twitter.
So first of all, John Cena is Vin Diesel's brother in this movie, his older
Younger
brother.
brother. Younger.
He's older.
He specifically says younger.
Oh, really?
Yes.
When the fuck
Yeah.
is he? Okay, so younger
He says,
brother.
it's my little brother.
Okay,
Let's do that.
okay.
It's very funny to think of John Cena as anyone's little anything.
especially Vin Diesel, because they don't look alike.
No.
And like fucking Dominican ass Vin Diesel and those Dominic Toretto in those movies, and then white bread ass New Jersey John Cena, or no, New Hampshire, where he's from, like New England somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, he's like super spy assassin craziness, like everyone in those movies now.
For what it's worth,
Did you
Vin Diesel is almost exactly 10 years older than John Cena.
Okay.
So,
also, did you guys notice they put a lot of fake tan on John Cena? Like a lot of fake tan.
I missed
I
it.
think that's
His Vin Diesel's real brother looks like Paul Walker, like weirdly a lot.
Yes.
So it's like not unbelievable if you have that context, but also it's just funny that he's got a
Now,
secret younger
are
brother
you-
that nobody knew about.
Are you just
And-
thinking of Brian, his brother from the Fast and Furious movies? Because he's like my brother.
No,
Brian.
there is literally a picture of Paul Walker and Vin Diesel's brother standing together, and they look more alike than Vin Diesel and his brother do.
than Vin Diesel and John Cena do.
Things that are not
the difference between Vin Diesel and his real brother is
Yeah.
about the difference between Dominic Toretto and whoever John Cena's character is.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's not unbelievable with that context.
Yes.
The main character of Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift is back. The high schooler who was like 30 years old.
Yeah.
Lucas Black.
Yeah, Lucas Black. He is back in this
He
movie.
looks older now, too.
He looked old then. Man, he looked old in 8. Yeah, 8 is when he showed up last. Jeez. Or was it 7? It must have been 7. 7 was when he last showed up.
There are scenes such as a Jeep Wrangler driving on a bridge that is falling, a rope bridge that is falling into a chasm.
Is it on the moon?
No.
Oh, well,
They don't show space
it may as
in this
well
one,
be on
but
the moon because that's how the physics would have to work.
And then they like drive into, so there's like a support chain or something left, and Vin Diesel drives into the support chain, and then it like drives off the cliff and then uses like the tension to like swing up onto the other side,
but like not the other
across
side,
this like
not the other side,
massive
like
chasm.
Yeah, it's
like,
not the other side.
island.
Like
It's
a couple
literally
hundred
between
feet.
2 islands.
It's like it's like between 2 mountains. He uses the car like Spider-Man swings across 2 mountains using this cable.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's like Indiana Jones using his whip to grab some tree branch or something, and like
If the tree branch was like a mile and a half away, yes.
wow.
And it's a car.
And it's a car.
And not, you can't grab stuff with your car, but turns out Vin Diesel can.
Apparently, I should watch Fast and the Furious.
You should.
Yeah, it's so worth it.
That's what.
Also, the last time we saw Lucas Black was Fast 8, because Fast 8 was bringing the family back together.
Was it? But
he's not
was
in
it
7.
Fast 8?
He's in 8.
He's in 8.
He's only in 8 and Tokyo Drift.
Is he really?
Because they go to Tokyo to get something from him in 8. I don't remember what.
That sounds right.
I can't remember I guess I need to watch the movies again to get the
I'm
story.
Going to be starting that rewatch soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully my partner can deal with the Fast and the Furious movies. She has not historically been interested in them.
Oh, well, she hasn't watched.
Just start her at 5.
Yeah, start her at 5 and then you'll be good.
No, I'm going to watch them all.
I mean, you can watch them all, but get her in at 5 and then it'll be fine. But I mean, really, she needs to watch from the beginning to get the full story and the full emotional impact.
That's what I'm saying.
So I like Fast and Furious 2. I think that one's
I do also
stronger than Fast and Furious, the 4th movie.
Agreed.
That's a terrible film. You are correct, by the way, that he is in Fast 7, not Fast 8.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
He is, however, in a film called Legion, where his character is called Jeep Hansen.
What?
Jeep Hansen or Jeep Handsome?
No, Jeep Hansen. Hansen like the band, Jeep like the brand.
Okay.
I like Jeep Handsome better.
Foreshadowing.
I think that's our podcast name is Jeep Handsome.
The big spoiler, though, from that trailer
is the best character in the entire franchise is back from the dead.
Ludacris has always been in it. He hasn't died.
No. Han. So you might know Han from watching half of Tokyo Drift.
Yep.
Or Better Luck Tomorrow.
So
spoiler, Han dies at the end of Tokyo Drift.
But Tokyo Drift takes place in the future. So
Tokyo Drift takes place during Fast 6.
I almost called it episode 4. So in Fast and Furious at the beginning, Han is alive and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then in 5, he's still alive. And then you're like, what? And he's like, oh, I want to go to Tokyo. And then at 6,
you're like,
he's
dude,
like,
no.
Don't do it, Han, don't do it. And then in 6, he's like, oh, I'm finally gonna go to Tokyo.
And then he dies at the end of
6.
Like,
he dies in like the first half hour of 7.
Well,
he's killed in the post credits of 6.
Yeah, it's post credits of 6 that he died. That he's like,
they 6, and then they don't show it in 7. They assume you watch that post credits.
No, they do because we have to break this down. So at the end of 6, post credits scene of 6 is they show it's Jason Statham calling, from the scene, and then in 7 they have it from Dominic's point of view at the house because he gets the bomb.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he does. Then we get Jason Statham calling, and when the bomb blows up. So it's in all 3 of those movies.
What we can say most assuredly is that Fast 9, the 9th film in the Fast and Furious series, will almost assuredly be better than The Rise of Skywalker.
Absolutely. 100%.
9th film in the Star Wars saga.
That trailer is better than Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
I haven't seen the trailer, and I assume it's better. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yes. I didn't hate Rise of Skywalker.
I did. Moving on.
Anyway, that Fast and Furious game, huh?
Sam, would you say that Hobbs and Shaw is the Rogue One of Fast and Furious?
It was basically a Mission Impossible film, but instead of Tom Cruise trying to be sensible and cool, it's Jason Statham and The Rock hating each other. So the entire film,
Rames
all they do
Superman?
Is no. But Idris Elba, okay, there are several things that happen with Idris Elba that are great.
Okay, we don't need to go through all of them.
He has a motorcycle that transforms and can ride itself to him when he loses it.
It doesn't need to ride itself.
And Idris Elba is bulletproof. He just catches a bullet in the first scene of the movie, letting you know exactly what's going on.
All right, I'll watch this. I'll watch this movie as part of this rewatch.
It's so good.
Let me tell you about Idris Elba in Cats.
Ooh.
I mean, to be like, there's.
Have you heard that in Cats he has done literally every single human crime So the implications of that are fucking wild.
Yep.
Yeah.
And every human crime.
I don't want to hear about that's
every crime.
By whose metric? Who's determining what human crimes are?
Every crime.
Crime.
He's gone to every country and done every crime.
I mean, that's presumably
from misdemeanors to federal offense.
Yeah.
War crimes.
Yep.
Did you see that they had to CGI Jason Derulo's package because it looked too big, so they had to reduce it with CG.
I want to talk about this.
So, well, what do you want to talk about, Pat?
The part that I want to talk about my favorite part of the Fast 9 trailer, which is the part that sold me all the way on this movie. Is when John Cena jumped or fell, I'm not really clear, out of a 8-story window onto a moving bus and then stood up. And it was fine. And then Vin Diesel jumped out of the same window and then also landed on a bus by way of catching the railing on the and then they were on different buses.
And they just stand up and look at each other like shit's going down.
As the buses drive by, as if it was a scene in Gang Beasts. Anyway, we can talk about video games now.
There's a bit in Hobbs and Shaw where The Rock just jumps out of the 80th floor of a building. Jumps out, assuming he'll be fine.
That's in multiple Rock movies and Fast and Furious movies at this point. That's
the point. It's
like the 80th floor. It's not like third or fourth floor.
I need it to be within the realm of believability.
San Andreas, and then in Fast 6 when they, or is it Fast 6 or Fast 7 where they drive out of the place in Abu Dhabi? Is that where it is?
It's Dubai, I think.
That's good.
Yeah, Abu Dhabi or Dubai?
This is Dubai.
Dubai.
Anyway,
it's that electric car. Anyway,
isn't Abu Dhabi the country and Dubai the? Sorry, Abu Dhabi the city and Dubai the country. Or am I mental?
My geography is very rusty.
Places where very, very rich people live.
Yes,
that's what I know those places are.
Know what else is very
Abu
rusty
Dhabi
though?
is the capital of the Arab Emirates.
This podcast because we cannot say. I gave Pat an out, but he kept talking about.
You know what's rusty is a lot of things in the game that Pat has brought today.
I don't agree. See, this is why I was kind of ready to ride the movies wave, because I knew that it was going to be yet another instance of me talking about a thing I really like and other people being like, "Meh."
It's fine. That's my stance on the game you're bringing.
Okay.
I haven't played it yet. I'll play it eventually. What game have you been playing, Pat?
I've primarily been playing a lot of Kentucky Route Zero this week. Well, actually, I played more Modern Warfare than Kentucky Route Zero, but
so you're a route, not a route.
Kentucky Route Zero.
Route, yes. Not Kentucky Route Zero.
It is pronounced route. Root is a root of a tree. Route is like a road or a path.
It's like a square route. Kentucky square root of zero.
Similar to how you route an invading army, which is them running away.
Kentucky square root of zero.
You don't say you root. Oh, we rooted them. That would be like a CC effect where they're stuck in place for like 5 seconds. Be a long route, but
Route 66. Not you say Route 66.
I would say Route 66, although most people do say Route 66, but I don't like that. Anyway, Kentucky Route Zero is a like point and click adventure game that has been in development for like 7 years ish.
Probably 8 because it came out 7 years ago.
Yeah. The first act came out 7 years ago, but it's been out for it's probably been in development that long, and it's been like 5 years since the fourth act was released,
something like that.
It's been that long between acts. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was a long time, but I figured it was like more spread out. That's interesting.
Yeah. Did you finish the whole thing, Alex?
What do you mean?
Like, did you finish all of the acts?
No, I'm like midway through Act 2.
Okay. I haven't started Act 4 yet, but that's my next thing. And
I've started Act 3.
I think it's real good. There's a lot of like people just like, I bought it in 2013 or whatever when it first came out, really, really enjoyed Act 1, and then kind of put it away, waiting to have it all be finished. And then like didn't really hear people talk about it that much again until the end of last year when people started talking about it being one of the best games of the decade. And I have to finish it before I can kind of give it that kind of assessment. I can definitely see why people feel that way though, given what I've played of it. It is just like the writing in it is really, 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 really good. Definitely like it's weird in a world where Disco Elysium exists because I think it is of a similar quality to Disco Elysium. And had I played the other acts, like if I had played through the first 4 acts by 2015, I probably would have also been like, holy shit, this is one of the best things ever. It just so happens that we are coming off of a year with Disco Elysium in it, which is like super, super well written. So I think it feels a little less staggering because of that. But it does a lot of like, for starters, it is like deeply American game. It's a game about American politics and economics and hardship and culture. And sort of specifically, it's about the culture of middle America and sort of downtrodden communities within middle America. And I can totally see why anyone would kind of be like, I don't really have a perspective on that, and this isn't really doing anything for me. There's a little bit of discourse this week about that concept, and it's okay to not be turned off by the aesthetic and setting and tone of a thing. You're allowed to have that feeling. You're also allowed to express that you wish that there was as much cultural cachet from other cultures in the world as there is from America. So I think that whole discourse is a little disappointing because there were a lot of very smart people that were getting very offended as Americans, which I think is a weird choice at this point in our global state of politics and stuff, but whatever. I think people largely are defensive of it because they just find it to be a really important thing to them. And I can obviously understand that given my relationship with certain games that came out last year. And yeah, I don't know. It's hard to
I wish there were less games about being a three-fingered alien in space with like shoddy spaceships. You know, it's just
the funny part about that discourse is I don't actually, if you read into it closer, I don't think that you know, it's pretty easy to find that it was Rami Ishmael that was talking about this stuff. I don't think anything in his tone or like rhetoric was suggesting that there should be less of a thing. It was more that there should be more of other things. So I thought it's fun. I think it's funny in the first place that it blew up into this, like, you think Kentucky Route Zero shouldn't exist when like,
that was a bizarre thing.
The discourse felt like more like, I don't think I don't think it should exist, but more of like, hey, other cultures exist too. Like, legit.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this in our group chat. I thought this was a weird game for him to bring that up with, given that it's been out for 7 years.
But it's in the zeitgeist. It's
true. It is in the zeitgeist.
That's what everyone's talking about.
But also, it doesn't really portray America in the same way as any other game because like it's going at Kentucky, which is, you know, usually if Kentucky is portrayed in anything, it's portrayed as a joke. At some point, it's like kind of like, oh, this is where the Southern Hicks live, ha ha ha. But this is like, no, this is rural communities, and this is like people interacting with each other in a very human way, which is actually pretty great.
And there were lots of conversations about that, like who responded, people who like, you know, thought things out like that. And then there were lots of people who like, you think you make Kentucky Route Zero look bad, or you're saying it's bad, or, you know, subtweeting with like some bullshit.
And a core thing it's very clear that like Rami himself didn't play the game. And I think that to your point, Alex, like if he had, he probably would come away with a better view of that sort of thing. However, I think it's very fair to just be like, it's a game. You're telling me it's a deeply American game, and I don't want to play things that are deeply American right now because of, I mean, just a variety of factors. Even if like selling it that way is not like helpful for someone who's saying I'm sick of American things. And then to like, let me tell you, if you want people to engage with something that's very important to you, the wrong way to go about it is, fuck you, you don't know anything about this. Stop talking about this thing I love.
Totally.
Until you play it. Like, that is not
yes.
a helpful way to get people to engage with a thing that you love. And so I think it was like, I was very frustrated with it. In fact, it impacted my ability to enjoy the game earlier in the week, because I was like frustrated with that discourse and with the people like flinging that stuff. So I had to like disconnect a little bit and like reset to be able to enjoy the game on its own terms, because it's not its fault at all. None of this is Kentucky Route Zero's fault. So anyway, I highly recommend it. I honestly think it's a game that's like, the less you know about it going in, probably the more effective it'll be. I think it's the kind of game that does the whole range of emotions. Like, it has everything has very funny moments, very sad moments, very moving moments of like, it's not a horror game, but it has moments that are like scary to think about. And then it also has like deeply boring moments too, but all of it kind of serves a greater purpose. There's nothing in that game it's kind of like the antithesis of a Death Stranding, where instead of beating you over the head with metaphor, it's more kind of presenting things and asking you to connect some dots yourself without leaving you to a like totally esoteric. Like, there's still a plot that you can follow and characters that have stories and motivations and arcs. So it's cool, because there's just stuff that, like, reading reviews of acts as I played them, I was like, oh, I didn't really think about that way. That's really interesting. So I think I understand why people think it's so impressive. I think, like, for me, the thing that so far has kind of kept it from being oh my God, this is the greatest game of the decade, is just that and this is a very personal metric. This is not something that would make an argument for anyone else. But I think if I could watch someone play through something and get the same experience out of it, it's a little bit less impactful for me. And it's possible that I would feel differently if somebody else had the controls, because you do select dialogue options. That's the primary element of like choice in the game, is that, you usually have the option between a couple of dialogue choices. And if you don't pick one, you'll just never see it, like what it is, unless you play through the game again. And they're usually pretty structural differences in that specific conversation. It's not like Disco Elysium, where it's like diamonding out into all these different choices. It's more like, in a specific dialogue, you're going to get different results if you make different choices.
Like one very specific instance in the first act is when you have the choice between looking at a TV and looking at what's going on in the background, like what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And if you choose one, you don't get to go back and do the other.
Right. So that is cool. That is definitely a thing. But other than that, so far it's been like, I haven't felt like I feel like this could also be presented as a like really good graphic novel or a really good animated film or something. And so that's where it's like the quality of it is excellent, but it doesn't have the same like pull for me as a best of the decade as some games, because it being deployed as a game hasn't yet struck me as a like, this has to be this thing. This has to be a game, in the same way that something like Disco Elysium and Outer Wilds did for me.
The interactivity isn't very vital so far. I'm a little bit before you, but probably only about 20 minutes, half an hour. Mm-hmm. It's very lightly interactive. The majority of the interaction is walking from place to place and choosing dialogue options. Yeah. I do like, however, that you can influence the story. So if you say, for example, like there's a section where they go, "What did you have for breakfast?" And my character, I chose to say, "Oh, I had breakfast with another character," and then later on they do a flashback to that breakfast, and you get to see that happening.
That's a good point. I think maybe part of my thing is I'm not recognizing all of the instances where that's occurring, and maybe if I saw it if I played it again, I would start to understand that. It's maybe just more subtle about it than something like Disco Elysium, Disco Elysium is like so in your face about like you just made a choice, even though it doesn't go all the way and do the like so and so will remember this thing. It still is so clear that like, oh, I clearly just made a choice that will change things, because it changes like the state of the world usually. So it could just be that I'm not seeing those things because they're so fluid and natural within the game's presentation. So I'm excited to wrap it up though, because the story is quite good. And that's exciting and cool. I think the thing that is interesting to me is, so like one of my favorite games of the decade is Gone Home, which is one of my favorite games just ever, period. And I think an interesting thing in Gone Home is like, you don't make any choices in Gone Home. There's nothing in that game that is choice-based. However, because of how visceral and present your interactions with the environment are, that's one of those things that to me could only be a game. Like it doesn't work as a book or a movie or whatever. So I think it's interesting the way that different games that are in that game of the decade space approach the idea of interactivity, and like the idea of like the reason this had to be a game is this, rather than just being a great novel. So that part of it I find really fascinating, and it's cool to see it finished. And from what everyone says, the final act, against all odds, they actually like made good on the story that people are so like head over heels for. So I'm very excited to close it out.
Cool. Is it something that you'd recommend to pretty much everybody here? Or
yeah, definitely. I think it's a homework style game. I think if you're interested in video games as a medium, it's kind of something that everyone should play, because
I think Andre might
I wouldn't say it was a homework game at all, personally. It feels like a mashup between a visual novel and an adventure game. So
I don't know.
It has a lot of conversation and dialogue in the same way a visual novel would have, but there is an avatar that you move around, and you need to kind of solve stuff in the same way you do in an adventure game. So yeah, I wouldn't. Whilst I have said, and I haven't said on the podcast, so I'm not on record, but I've on record in our chat group as saying that the interludes are extremely pretentious and boring. I think the actual chapters are really good and totally worth playing.
Yeah, I think from a writing perspective, if you have any interest in narrative design, I guess if you don't care at all about like narrative, you don't need to play it. But I think like if you care about narrative design, which to me is like, I guess for me, that is the most important part of video games. So maybe that's why I feel strongly about people playing it. But I think it's a pretty core. It's pretty core to the way that narrative design has developed over the last decade, and like whether it influenced things or was influenced by things, it's either way a really interesting peek into those things.
Are you meaning narrative design is in the somewhat branching paths, or just the general like, tone of writing?
No, not the tone of writing. I mean like the way that the writing hangs together based on dialogue choices that you make, and based on like moving through the world and stuff like that, and based on like timing and things, because there's times when you can see pieces that are kind of feel ancillary to the plot, but also fill out the world a lot. The way that the interludes interact with the stories and the acts, all of that stuff is what I'm talking about. I mean, the writing is just very, very good, but you can get very, very good writing from a lot of things. I think the thing that makes it something that is important to play is more the way that it's constructed. So yeah.
I'm curious why Alex thinks I won't like it.
I think
because you don't shoot any zombies.
Yeah, that. But also the way it does, the pretentiousness does kind of get in the way of it occasionally for me, in the way of enjoying it. I know that sometimes you can get a little eye rolly with that kind of stuff. So I feel like you would probably end up eye rolling your way to shutting off the switch or whatever, in some instances with how far it goes. But not to say it's bad or not, like, that it's poorly executed. It's just kind of like very proud of how clever it's being. I guess.
Interesting.
And
I don't get that from it, but
yeah, I personally did, but I don't know. I think it's again, I played the first episode or first chapter or whatever, first act when it came out in 2013 as well, and I really, really enjoyed it then. And playing it again in 2020, I thought it was fine. Like, I don't know. There was some parts of it that I thought really aged poorly, like extremely poorly, like specifically near the end when you're controlling something that is not explicitly your character.
Like mechanically or?
Correct.
Okay.
Where let's say it's like a train car, basically, and you're moving this thing around. And like, there's one, I was like, oh, I want to kind of explore every possible place we could go to with this thing. And to go from one end to the other, I timed it took 50 seconds. And there's nothing going on in those 50 seconds. You're literally just holding the stick left, and it's just like you're just watching this thing move.
Did you have your light on? You got to turn your light off.
I did turn it off.
Yeah, if you turn the light off.
There's a lot of stuff going on around you if you turn it off.
Yeah,
it tells like the whole story of that. Yeah,
okay. I didn't do that much.
There's loads of stuff to watch.
In fact, I think the poor thing in that sequence is they should make you turn your light off if they're going to show you.
They should just not give you a light for that section.
Yeah, because
there's so much going on.
It's not really a spoiler to say it tells you the story of that area in shadows that are played off of like sparks coming off of the train car. So with the light on, it definitely feels like a boring 50-second slide, like exactly what you described. So
that's fair. Maybe I should go re-explore that with the light off the whole time. Because I kind of flicked it off and on, just being like, what does this even do?
Yeah. There's moments like that.
Ruins the experience. That's what it does.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
All right. Well, does anyone have any other closing thoughts on Kentucky Route Zero?
I would say route personally, as someone who's adept at putting U's in words that you guys don't have U's in.
So I'll have more.
It has a U in it.
I'll get back to Kentucky Route Zero when we get to the end.
Did you say rut?
Rut Zero.
Yeah.
Rut is categorically false.
I'm just adding a third option for whoever wants it.
Route.
It's like when Greg Miller says rough for roof.
That's like a Midwest thing.
It's a Midwest thing. I agree with you that it is roof. I do not say rough as someone from like largely from the Midwest, but it is a Midwest thing.
Like a central Midwest. Anyway, break it down, categories. Okay, moving on.
Peter's ready for us to move on.
Yeah.
Allison.
Yes.
Sorry if you guys can hear that.
Oh, it's fine.
It's fine. Screaming children is all good.
Todd Howard just got
cute.
some bad news about Fallout 76. They stole more people's
That it
items.
still exists.
Has Todd Howard received any good news about Fallout 76?
I'm sure they only tell him good news. They're just like, people love it, Todd. Don't go on Twitter. Working on Elder Scrolls 6.
And when they did the whole they did the whole E3 like, you have some concerns. Like, he's just like, I don't know what you're talking about, but okay.
Your concerns are there's not enough Fallout 76, but we've got more, so don't worry.
And don't worry, it's so good you're going to want to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, speaking of so good you're going to want to pay for it, Allison has been playing some games.
I have.
Pay for the games, not for you.
Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
But Allison is so good, you want to pay her. Somebody pay Allison.
Oh, yeah. Somebody pay me. I love that. So I've been playing more of Tokyo Mirage Sessions because I finished Digimon Cyber Sleuth. So on to the next JRPG. But yeah, no, Tokyo Mirage Sessions is definitely very fun. It's definitely kind of Persona Light, but I feel like the setting of it is very much up my alley, especially since I like Japanese idol culture. So there's definitely it's the setting is very much exciting. So
this is your second time through, right?
I played a decent amount of it on the Wii U, but to be honest, I don't know how much of it I really remember because I'm playing it. I'm like, oh yeah, this part, and it I'm still getting surprised. So Yeah, but it's definitely, especially if you like me or somebody who wanted something like a Persona on the Switch, and they're not going to put Persona on the Switch.
Yeah.
The closest thing is maybe Tokyo Mirage Sessions, but the setting is really good. The whole session ability where you basically
love it. That so
it is
much.
so addicting to be able to get those set up. Yeah, because when you see all three characters attack at once, you're just like, yes. So it's very, very exciting to do that. But it's a very, very Japanese game because it's very JRPG, but also has that Japanese entertainment industry ness to it. But I think that's kind of what makes it appealing to me. So I'm
its pacing seems a lot better than Persona in general.
That's what I was going to say.
That's true.
Depends on what you want from it, because like it doesn't have so much of like the daily life stuff where you're not like going to the library and like, oh, I'm going to study and get my stats up.
It's a much more linear story.
Yeah.
And there's no like daily schedule. It's just I go out and do whatever thing you want.
I like the events stuff. I like how there is a story to it, and you don't pick what you do every day and raise your stats.
I kind of miss
it's a nice change.
I think it's a different game, so I think that there's definitely benefits to. Hey, this is a linear story, so the pacing is definitely going to be a little bit more there, but at the same time, I feel like, especially with this kind of setting, especially like of you working in an entertainment industry, I think it could have been interesting to have that day-to-day schedule, especially if you're trying to balance regular life plus entertainment industry plus you're defeating Mirage's life. I think that could be interesting, but
I think like part of it for me, I haven't played nearly as much of this game as you have, but I think what it's driving home is that I found the daily life stuff in Persona 5 to be significantly less interesting than it was in Persona 4. So like when I think about how Persona 4 is paced, it's brilliant. Like it's actually like pretty much perfect. Like I don't have it never felt like it got in the way at all. And it always felt like an exciting thing to end a day and go to the next day because what was going to happen. And even if it was like little things like there's not going to be any story events, but I'm going to go and do these 4 tasks before I hit the dungeon. That was so fun to do and plot out because that world, like the town was so charming and the characters were so fun to be around. Whereas for me, as someone who didn't play that far into Persona 5, I think the reason I didn't play that far into Persona 5 was because it was missing that. And it was more like there were good characters. I'm not saying like all the characters are bad or anything, but the moving through the world was just not as interesting to me.
It's also an extremely slow starting game.
Yeah.
Like
Fair.
Persona 5, like it takes a long time for you to get. Yeah, it takes a long time for you to get to being able to like freely do stuff and not be yelled at to go to bed.
Yeah.
So
honestly, I just assumed you got yelled at to go to bed forever.
Pretty much. Actually, I think they're changing that, but yeah.
I will say playing TMS, the little that I have, and I don't have time for this because I have 2 JRPGs to play, but it does between TMS and Dragon Quest, but it does make me more interested in playing Persona 5 Royal when it comes out because I did never get that far into that game, and playing TMS is like, I really do enjoy the aesthetic and style of these games from like a mechanical perspective. So
I think sorry, please go for it.
Oh no, and I was just going to agree that I think that's one of the main draws to, at least for me, of games like the Personas, the general aesthetic and the general setting. So so that's another. It's nice to have another game that kind of has that.
Yeah, and I think specifically with Persona 5, if they tighten up some of the stuff that was particularly bad about that game, like
I think you
could, but if they did, you could have an ideal experience that's even close to Persona 4. But no, it wouldn't be because they still have Yusuke in there and he's terrible. But other than that, like,
yeah, I mean,
Yusuke is affectionately terrible, which is why I like him.
a big part of why I didn't play Persona 5 2 is I read about a lot of the like kind of shitty ways they handle.
That's in like all the Persona games. There's some of that in 4.
There's some of it in 4.
I think there's not so much in 3.
I don't remember that much in 3, but
from what I was reading, it seems like it's particularly bad in 5, like worse than in 4.
It's not.
It's got
great.
some. Are
we talking about those two characters?
It's just the fact that Alice seems homophobic in like not in like a hateful way as much as they're literally afraid of like people who are LGBTQ. That's the impression that I get, is that they find that whole thing terrifying, and so they can only represent those characters as like villains, which is,
they're not presented as villains in Persona 5 so much as they're presented as inept, which is kind of shitty, or
in some ways almost worse.
It is like shitty,
and like pedophiles
also too.
That's more the part that I'm referring to. But anyway, that's kind of I haven't actually seen that stuff myself. I just read about it from people who I respect, and it sounded pretty bad.
It's in there, and it sucks that it's in there because there's no reason for it to be, other like they're not characters in the game really, other than they show up and they're like, ooh, Yuji.
They show up
so
like
cute.
3 or 4 times. That's it.
Yeah.
And
that's all they do.
Between that and then a lot of the Catherine stuff, I was just like, man, this company fucking sucks. So that was part of why I kind of never got around to it. But perhaps I will, and I will just do it knowing that there is problematic stuff happening in it. And
that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of like Atlas games.
I'm not really. Yeah.
Although I say this, but I still don't think I'm ever going to pick up the new Catherine.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like it's
because that's less.
Yeah.
That whole thing sounds weird.
But what isn't shitty and is a good Atlas game is Tokyo Mirage Session.
There's some shitty stuff in there too, from what I've heard. But
if you're talking about the pickup scene, it's not that bad. I did it. It's just dumb. It's not. There's nothing like awful in it.
What I have heard is more the way that it sort of, it sort of trivializes that whole concept when that culture is just pretty problematic, not just in Japan but around the world. And then also there is a lot of kind of icky stuff, as there is in American pop music too. To clarify, I'm not trying to call out Japan specifically, but idol culture in America, in Japan, in Korea, like all around the world, has extremely problematic elements, and that it just kind of is like, but everything's great. And it's not. I mean, I don't know that you should expect that game to be some kind of epic takedown of.
Well, especially since this is like a company that's a front to fighting Mirages. And so it's not really like, I don't even know if it's even supposed to be representative of a real entertainment company.
I just can understand why. It's just stuff you should, I think, like be aware of going into
although
games, less than I'm trying to purity test that game.
No, I think that makes sense. I also just think that especially as somebody that follows J-pop discourse a lot, people definitely overstate issues with it like a lot. Like they say like, oh, this one thing happened, ergo this is a problem that is rife within the industry, or
J-pop stans are upset.
Right. or like oh, they I've seen people spread like, oh, this thing totally happens when it's just pretty much made up. So it's not that, I mean, I don't want to minimize there are problems, because there 100% are, but I think there is a level of overstating it, especially since, like you said, there's problems in the music industry globally. And
the review that I read of the game that was interesting, I think it was pretty long-winded about this stuff in a way that's kind of like, it seemed like the author maybe wanted to talk more generally about idol culture rather than this game specifically. So I do think that like the subject of the game can be a game, and it's okay. But
I would actually be really interested to see if you could send that over to me.
Yeah, I'll find it. They were one of the things they talked about, and again, this is a global problem that is not even really just specific to Japan, is that, you know, there's just a global problem of like sexualizing and objectifying the aesthetic of young women. And that while for the people on this call, I know for you specifically, Allison, like a lot of aspects of like K-pop and J-pop, it's like cute and not creepy, that they are selling it to be creepy. Like they are selling it to creepy men who find that aesthetic like very appealing for creepy reasons instead of it's cute. So that's kind of more what this reviewer talked about. But I don't know that Tokyo Mirage Sessions is the thing that should be like solving that problem.
I think you are right, but I think that may be like 1% of the population that actually enjoys it, and the rest are kind of a silent 99%, or at least some.
Sure.
Like I think
believe
like,
that, but maybe
those are made up numbers.
I don't have
maybe
numbers.
It's more like 5% or like 10% at highest. But like, I think you are right that those people do exist, but it's kind of also kind of crappy to dismiss the rest of the people who actually legitimately enjoy it.
Oh, I don't intend to
especially
to do that
like
either.
Since I have met like some of the adult men who are really into it, and they all seemed like genuinely good people.
Yeah,
so.
Totally. So I would feel a little bit weird saying like, oh, if I'm seeing that some adult man is observing this, and I'm not going to assume they're creepy.
And it might be just a range of experiences. Every single adult man not in this podcast group that I've said that I like K-pop to, but primarily girl groups and less guy groups, has said to me, I get why, me too.
Yeah.
And so like, I've never encountered someone, again, outside of people in our podcast, never encountered someone who is like legitimately into like the sound of K-pop music. It's always about,
is that
ladies
like
are sexy.
more of a culture thing though? Because like when I'm talking about this, I'm including people that I've met who came from Japan to go to shows in the US.
Who you've encountered more of than I have.
Yeah.
It's very possible that it's a culture thing.
Where it's like, oh, I get like it's less unusual that you would be into a girl group if you were a dude.
It's not unusual. Man, I want a J-pop cover of that, or a K-pop, either one.
Oh God,
it probably exists somewhere.
I want it to exist so bad. There is one of my favorite J-pop groups did a cover of Sabotage by the Beastie Boys. It is extremely good. It is extremely good.
Send that on.
I will send it over. It is. I'm currently working on a list of my top 75 J-pop songs of the decade, and that is on it.
That's amazing.
All right. Well, back to Tokyo Mirage Sessions, the gameplay part. The way so in Persona, with your main character, you can like cycle through a bunch of different personas. That's like why your character is so special. Basically, you've got the Joker Arcana or whatever it is. And so you can like cycle through different personas and have a whole bunch of different abilities. But in this one, you're not able to do that. You have a set number of abilities, or like a set preset selected number, or selection of abilities. And so it can be difficult to figure out like, okay, what should I keep? What should I get rid of? I don't know, like what is actually valuable at this point. And so far in chapter 3, I have not been able to like, there's no way to like relearn a skill. If I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have gotten rid of that skill, I should go relearn it. I guess in chapter 4, that becomes a thing you can do. And you can swap people out on the fly in the middle of combat for like, to get different weaknesses covered, or, to session things. But you have to have the main character in at all times. Itsuki. So it's interesting and kind of challenging to deal with that, because it's 3 people instead of 4 compared to Persona. But like the basic kind of ideas of like, you have like a certain weapon, or you've got like certain kinds of attacks, like you've got like wind magic and fire magic and all that kind of stuff, and certain enemies will be weak to that. And then if you hit them with a weak thing, they'll be then you can session off of it. I'm like,
Yeah.
have the Persona 5 stuff and the Tokyo Mirage session stuff in my head, so I can't get them straight now because it's like they're similar concepts, but they're different enough that I think it's very fast and snappy and satisfying as you unlock more abilities and stuff.
For sure.
It's just it's a lot more challenging than Persona, I think. And I'm playing on hard, so that's probably part of it. I might turn it down at this point because I'm just like, I don't want to have to grind too much.
What's cool is you can change it at any time.
Yeah, you can change it down and up at any time you like.
Yeah, I'm playing it on normal, and I had an experience where I was going into the first dungeon. I was decently far in the first dungeon, but I hadn't saved in a long while because I was a dummy.
The first dungeon, like the tutorial dungeon, or like
no.
Okay,
the first like real one where they have where you're in Shibuya.
You have 3 people and
yeah. Like the first like real dungeon, I was in it, and I'm assuming, this is gonna be a breeze. And then I died, and I hadn't saved it so fucking long.
That's happened to me a few times.
And I was like, so now I am very, very like vigilant about saving this game because I lost like a good chunk of time to that. But I was surprised because I was just like, oh, surely there'll be nothing that will be that hard, but it actually killed me. So it's something where I don't know if it's necessarily been that. I'm still just in chapter 2, so I'm not very far. But it's one of those things where you just have to be careful.
Yeah,
and maybe
I would
more
say
careful than you might assume.
Sometimes it feels unfair with like the amount of damage being put out.
You can if you want to go. There's a trading area, so you can kind of grind up levels if you want to, but
it's kind of bad.
It kind of sucks. Yeah,
like a lot. But
the Mementos was bad.
Yeah, that like they did like interesting story stuff in Mementos, at least, and like side quests in
here. It's just
Mirage
like
sessions. It's literally just go in here to grind.
Here's a map where you can grind. And they say, be careful, you don't want to grind too much because that might make the game less fun. And you're just like, well, okay.
Yeah. And there's like a bunch of different like places you can go into. And then there's like the one that unlocks like over the course of the story, and you get like special items and costumes in there and abilities. There's a lot of like extra stuff like on the sides. I don't know how much of that is DLC. Like,
I think some of it might be, but
like the Joker costume, I'm pretty sure is DLC.
I mean, but
Persona Joker, not DC Joker. So we live in a society.
Stairs.
What was that?
There's no stairs.
No stairs.
Because Joker.
Oh,
he dances down the stairs.
Yeah. Okay. Tokyo.
It's not a bad movie, so
Look, guys. Let me just pitch something to you. Tokyo Drift sessions.
Oh yes. How
I would play that video
Drift?
It's the same game, but you play as Vin Diesel.
How about Tokyo Mirage sessions #FF?
And you get to choose
Fantastic
if Paul Walker wears glasses or not.
No, because you're not your personas or whatever. They're fantastic. They're Fantastic Four, a different FF. They're Fast and Furious characters.
Why not both?
Okay, this would be great. So Itsuki's like persona is Dom.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And you drive.
Instead of a Pegasus, it's a Dodge Challenger. Just comes like hydraulicking from off screen, runs over all the enemies.
Instead of the battles being a huge concert, it's a drag race.
Yeah,
and you stand on the bonnet of your car to fight the enemies, and all the fights are in motion. They're all on the 6 minute long runway from front of Fast 6.
And one of the fights has you swinging across a bridge with your car.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's a summon.
We're just talking about the Fast and Furious trailer again.
And or Shaw.
Okay, stop talking. We gotta pitch. We gotta flesh this out and pitch it.
We also
need a game.
I think if we're going to talk about Fast and Furious anymore, they need to advertise on this podcast.
No, you know what? I will give Fast and Furious free advertising.
It really needs
one thing I will do. Yeah, no, that is one thing I'm okay with.
If there's one franchise that's struggling, you know that it's the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Well, they couldn't get The Rock back, so
I think Vin Diesel was like, "No, you did your own movie. You're out of here." But
so sad.
He'll probably be in it.
He'll be back for 10, surely.
I hope. I like The Rock a lot.
Where can they? Do they go to another universe for 10 if they go to space in 9?
What? Wait, sorry, 1 second. What was The Rock's catchphrase in like the 90s?
Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?
Well, Allison, could you smell what The Rock was cooking in a certain video game?
Oh shit! What a transition! I love it.
What did The Rock also serve deliciously? 3 times.
Can we get The Rock on Bon Appetit?
God,
probably.
What a get.
You said it, and now I won't be happy until it happens. You've taken away my happiness by it not existing and you saying it.
I also put it out
Bon
in the
Appetit.
universe.
It's not Bon Appetit. There's no E. Bon Appetit is a different channel.
I will say as a French speaker,
I gotta go register on Pornhub.
As a French speaker, yes, it is Paul. But anyways.
Cook Serve Delicious 3 just came out. It is on early access, but it feels really polished for early access. It's just more that they're adding new features and adding new regions, because that's right. This one is on a truck because you're in a food truck. It's so I don't know if you guys got deep into that Cook Serve Delicious lore.
No, I played the first one.
I played the first one as well.
I've never played a Cook Serve Delicious.
Oh, they're so good. You should play Cook Serve.
They're really good.
I'm reinstalling both of the ones that I own.
The first one is currently on sale on Steam for $2.49.
That's a good deal.
Yes, it's good. You would like it, Sam.
It's a very, very good game. But if you read a lot of one of the things that I think is really underseen in these games is that there is if you read the descriptions of foods and you read the just like the kind of flavor text, there's a lot of like really good humor in there. And they're genuinely really funny. But if you run closely in some of them in the first 2 games, you realize this game is taking place in the near future. It is not taking place now. And B, it is kind of a post-apocalyptic future. And so Cook Serve Delicious 3 leads totally into that. And your restaurant from 2 literally gets blown up. And you and 2 robots find you. And then you go on the road with a food truck.
I didn't know any of this.
It's all true.
That's also basically the plot of Overcooked, where there's the apocalypse and you have to go back in time.
Oh, but you're not but with Overcooked, you're trying to stop it, right? Whereas here, it's like, oh,
it happened.
Like this is a near future America. Shit has gone down. You just got to cook through it.
Just think it's funny that there are multiple cooking-based games that deal with the apocalypse in some way. It's very amusing to me.
But anyway, well, it's also like, there's still stuff going on. And still like, it's not like, a Mad Max type apocalypse. It's just more of like general dystopian future. Where there are like, you see the map of the United States and there are certain bits that are just like missing and you're like, what happened there? Including Minnesota. So rip me. I'm dead apparently in this game. But anyways, so with all of that, the main thrust of the game is that it's a cooking game where you are running this restaurant. But since this is a food truck game, the general flow of the day is is different, because whereas in previous games you would have just be doing an entire day of cooking, and you'd have these rush hours at like lunch and dinner time respectively. Here it's you're going from stop to stop in a certain area. So for instance, if you're playing a level, there might be 3 or 4 stops, and in between the stops you can do all of the preparation you need. Like, you're not getting any orders coming in because there's nobody there. But once you get to those stops, it is full on like busy, totally. And things are moving very, very fast. So as you're driving, you see the like how much time you have left, and you're trying to prepare food for the holding stations, which is something that they added into is like ready to serve kind of holding food, and also just getting some additional orders that are presumably being called in, but then once you get to those areas, it is pure chaos in a way that if you've played the other games you might understand, because this is not necessarily like a casual, I'm going to cook and it's going to be kind of a chill game. It is intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like Overcooked. It's not like a fun party game in that sense. This is more stressful.
It's kind of like a rhythm game at times. Like,
yeah, totally. because I've played it on I've played 2 on Switch a little bit, but I really struggled with that because I am so used to playing it on PC. Yeah. Because you are basically kind of typing out the little each food and using different keys to input, and I just don't know how to do it without that large number of keys to input. It's a kind of like a rhythm game, but also you're trying to manage all of your large number of customers that are coming in and very quickly wanting food. It's stressful, but at the same time, once you get like good at it, it is a very, very kind of cool stress where you're like, I got this, and typing and things are running around. Some of the big changes from 2 to 3 is that there's no longer any other chores. Like in previous games, like 1 and 2, occasionally there'll be something like, oh, you need to take out the trash, or you need to wash the dishes. Whereas this is just like, nope, it's all done, which is kind of nice, because really you just kind of want to be like those would be tricky and kind of take you out of the zone. Whereas here, this game is basically trying to keep you in that zone. And the best addition I've like maybe seen to any game from one iteration to the other is that there is a button where one of your robot companions can serve all of the ready dishes. So you just press it, and all of the dishes that are ready are just gone and they're served. So it just feels super satisfying to click that button and then 6 spots open up.
But are they delicious?
Yeah, because I'm cooking it. So
okay.
Yeah, and you're also cooking like dongo and stuff. So
yeah, because the other thing that's really good about this is that there's a lot of really cool foods in here. I don't think they've taken any foods out of the game, and instead keep adding more foods and keep going more and more international. So there's like just such a wide variety of different foods that are all very beautifully illustrated that you make, to the point where it's not a good idea to play it hungry because you're gonna want the food. But it's probably my favorite of the kind of cooking restaurant type game, just because it gets really intense, but then once you get in the zone, it feels just so satisfying. Yeah. Especially now with the serve all button, and you just click it and it's just like everything clears off. It's just so satisfying to do that.
One of the ways I would maybe describe it to someone who's never played it is like stressful meditation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very much like a flow state kind of game. Totally. Like you get in a groove, and then you're very like, it feels very like sort of in the same way that a rhythm game can, where you're just like, this is so good and nothing is gonna like, I'm not thinking about anything than maintaining this. So exactly. It becomes very meditative.
Yeah, and you start learning, especially if you're playing on PC, like you start learning some of the inputs for certain foods really almost like instinctively. So they're, I'm not quite there yet with 3, but I know that especially playing 1, there'd be certain foods that I'd be making and it would just be like, oh, something comes up and I don't even have to look or think about the stuff that I'm putting in. So it does get to that kind of meditative quality. Like if you're making lasagna and like, I would just be like, oh, okay, I got this, and just like type it all out. And it's just I just think it's a very, very fun game, and I'm very excited that this one came out. And I feel like Cook Serve Delicious 2 was fun, but I feel like the progression was a bit stronger in the first game. Whereas here it's just entered early access, but I feel like it already feels a little bit more polished than 2. And they just released kind of the roadmap for what they're going to be releasing in the next several months. And it looks like they're going to be adding a lot more content, but also doing the polishing up. So 3 is definitely, the first 2 are super, super cheap on Steam right now. So I definitely recommend picking those up. But 3 is also might end up being my favorite because of the kind of quality of life improvements.
Yeah, that's really cool. That makes 2 early access games in 2020 that feel super polished between this and Temtem. Like they both feel like, or from what you're saying, I haven't played Cook Serve Delicious 3, but from what you're saying and what I've played of Temtem, like those both feel like complete packages or like polished, like ready for retail almost, except for the content.
Oh, for sure. I think that's really what it is, because I know that I was a little bit nervous about picking it up because I generally don't want to pick up too many early access games, but I think that the gameplay and how it feels very, very polished, and it feels like a really good use of early access where, hey, we have all this content that's ready, so you might, if you like these games, you might want to buy it and play it right now, but they're actually, I think, planning it for it to leave early access in about maybe 5 or 6 months. So they have like a full plan to not have it be in early access indefinitely, which is good.
Unrelated, is it they or is it still just the one guy?
It's mostly the one guy, David Galindo, but right. I know that there are other people who contribute some writing, who contribute some art. Now the 2 robot friends have voice acting, so it's cool. It's mostly
Sam
him.
Can play it.
So it's mostly him, but there are other people that contribute for sure.
Good time.
But they're planning for it to leave early access by the summer. So that's I think it's quite cool. And each month they're adding multiple new territories that you can go to and features and stuff like that. So support your indie devs and buy Cook Serve Delicious 3.
Also, yeah, I really love the way the original Cook Serve Delicious got really popular. And like, I don't know if you all know that story. It basically was because the Giant Bomb Quick Look happened that like the game got any attention because they were the first press outlet to actually give it attention. And then from there it exploded, and now they're in their 3rd game. So
yeah, and now I think they've said that the series itself is like sold over 1 million copies,
that's awesome,
total, which is so great. And I think it's really well deserved. But yeah, I know that I haven't gotten to burgers in this one, but I know that he patched into the first game and in all other games a tribute burger to Ryan Davis, which is cool.
The Tazwell.
Yeah. So he has there's a burger that's literally called the Ryan Davis. So.
Oh, I thought it was called the Tazwell. My bad.
Either way, that I thought, didn't Cook Serve Delicious 2 come out really recently? Crazy? I thought it came out with like maybe 2017 or something.
Yep, 2017, September 13th, 2017.
Which is kind of crazy considering how this feels like
the link between Cook Serve Delicious 1 and Cook Serve Delicious 2 was like way long, wasn't it?
It's like 2013 to 2017. I'm looking at it right now because I have Steam.
Yeah.
So it's like 4 years.
Okay.
Whereas I think that some of the like art assets they were able to bring from 2 to 3. So I'm wondering if there's 3 feels like 2 feels like it was a big jump, but maybe not necessarily quite as polished. Whereas 3 feels like taking the good things about 1 and 2, but then like super polishing it and adding new foods and adding new mechanics.
Yeah.
But I am a fan of the series and always feels like there's quite a bit of good content to be had.
Yeah.
Nice. Sam, can you talk? Maybe,
he says in our group chat, not right now.
Okay, great. Then Alex, it's your turn.
All right. This is the part that's going to make Pat happy because none of this is about video games.
I will say, don't spoil me.
Hell yeah.
No spoilerino.
Okay. Well, how about this? We can do one thing that's video game adjacent.
Yeah.
Because
we've been talking about one of these things a lot.
Yeah, we already talked about Kentucky Route Zero, so I'm just gonna
a video game about Jason.
Yes, about Jason Voorhees, but also
about Jason.
All the Jasons are here. Jason Sudeikis.
There is a.
I thought you meant Mendoza.
I was gonna say
all the Jasons are here. Everybody's
here. Jason involved, but
every Jason's here.
Super Jason Brothers.
Oops, all Jason.
So the video game adjacent thing, Jason. Oh God, you guys are really
video game Jason.
Yes.
Video game add Jason thing
is GeForce Now. I agree. I have been experimenting with GeForce Now. I've used it on several devices. I did it. And
talk to your kids about GeForce Now.
Talk to your kids about Jason.
But do.
But yeah, so I've tried to
murder your children.
I've tried it in several different scenarios now. One on my work computer after hours, one on my home computer, one on my phone, like in various places. And it's been pretty consistent.
You said that I was going to call your boss.
Yeah, you were going to sound the alarms and just be like, hey, come back from Germany on your trip and put this guy under arrest. But so I've been playing a couple of games on it, mainly Disco Elysium as a way to just kind of see, because that game has a lot of small text, which shows up pretty, that's something that you would want to look at, and has a decent amount of motion when you're moving everything around with the camera. Like it doesn't have the most animations, but those don't actually matter that much. And the other one I was actually playing is Temtem, which is not a supported game. Which has been nice to actually play a non-supported game and makes me feel like that's probably something they're going to patch out when it comes to the real release, because if, I imagine that the people who are selling their games want some agency.
Well, because it's just streaming from like a virtual desktop, right? So
essentially,
I would expect their supported game list is, hey, we have tested these games. We're promoting them, and then as it approaches actual release, they'll like kind of lessen that and be like, hey, here are games that we officially like have tested ourselves, and we, say, hey, we'll have a good experience with this, but like other games will be fine to play. I would be surprised if they said, oh, you can't play these other games.
Okay. Yeah. I think you might be right about that. Because the way I got Temtem to work was kind of janky. Okay. I managed to crash Disco Elysium. Like this was on purpose. I fed it a whole ton of inputs to see what would happen, like basically with a script, and it crashed. And then it brought me to like just a straight up Steam like instance, like what you would see on your desktop. It just looked like you could see the store, libraries, friends, etc.
Interesting.
And then I just went installed Temtem and hit play, and it worked. So, technologically, there's nothing stopping them.
If you try and play a Steam game that you don't own, it takes you to the Steam interface straight away. So you don't need to force crash the game.
Oh, okay,
so
that's another way.
Because I don't own Disco Elysium, and if I click to play it, having added it to the GeForce Now thing, it just boots up Steam and goes, hey, do you want to play it? But I can click library and look at my library.
Okay, yeah, that's probably a better way to do it than writing scripts to crash the game that you're actually playing. But yeah, so that layer of it has been cool. The fact that it's literally just Steam under the hood, and then you can play whatever seemingly. But the actual experience in terms of the streaming quality and all that kind of stuff has been, I would say, fine. There's been like the compression on it, you could definitely see it. Like it's the kind of thing where I've heard people talk about, it's like if you full screened a YouTube video and you can kind of see like a little bit of like, if you were looking at a perfect circle, not the band, but if you were looking at a circle that looks on your screen, just no ridges and stuff like that because of the aliasing, you would start to see some fuzzy edges on it that you wouldn't if it was rendered on your computer. Or like with the text, sometimes you get some weird kerning, you get some kind of like fuzzy edges, some stuff kind of blends together a little bit in that kind of aliased way that you would get from a YouTube video that's at like maybe 720p, but you're blowing it up to a 1080p screen. So definitely getting that fuzzy compression, but none of it was unplayable. The input latency was pretty great. It felt pretty indistinguishable from playing locally, honestly. Like usually because I play on a 144 hertz monitor, so I did have like the G-Sync turned on and stuff, and move my mouse around as I would on my screen, just because you can see that kind of one-to-one movement. And yeah, it felt totally fluid, like maybe slight latency depending on connection, but other than that, like when it was at its best, it felt just like playing on a local computer, which is great.
Were you on Wi-Fi or wired in?
Tried both. Yeah, I tried Wi-Fi and wired Ethernet. Wi-Fi, I think my Wi-Fi is shitty, so every now and again, like it would go from being totally fine, and then it would just show this red icon, being like, "Hey, your connection might be crappy." So,
and what would it like? Would the video quality like go down to like 480p or something, or
never that low, but
it would like get pixely and a little more compressed or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
But I would say that the experience has been good.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to trying more of it, seeing what they do to improve it and stuff like that.
Would you pay $5 a month to use it?
Yes.
That is the rumored price currently.
I think, well, if I was traveling more, I would say yes. I don't know for me if it's that appealing, because I do have a PC. Even if my PC is kind of crappy these days, like it still works. If I ran into a situation where my computer died and I no longer could play games on it, then I think 100% yes.
We've talked a lot about this in our chat, but it's, to me, if I were in a position where I was traveling, because I don't need Stadia, I don't really need to stream from GeForce Now. I don't use Steam streaming like I do in like the house, but even then I use the NVIDIA GeForce Now, or not GeForce Now, G4 Game Stream, NVIDIA Game Stream, which is much better than Steam streaming. It's like the codec or whatever they use is much lower latency, higher quality video, just generally better. But I think GeForce Now would be the one I'd want to use, because it'd let me play games I actually own, assuming, like I do, that you'll just be able to play whatever once it like officially launches. And they just have that, hey, we've tested these games for sure work. We can't vouch for other games, but you can try them.
Right.
So if I was in a position where I was traveling a lot, I would probably gladly pay $5 and I'm going on a trip, I'll pay $5 for a month to be able to play at an airport or in a hotel or whatever.
Totally. Yeah, because there's no obligation. Like you can. Well, actually, I don't know if they've. Yeah, that's fair. I don't know if they've released it so you can pay $5 for 1 month. Like kind of. You can do that with Apple. Yeah, you can do that for Apple Arcade, right? Like you can say, okay, I'm going to subscribe for a monthly whatever at this rate, and then just cancel. Yeah, I assume you can do that with this, but.
Well, currently it's still in beta, and so the $5 is the rumored price. Right. But. Because they were apparently thinking 10, but they want to compete with like Microsoft and Google. So like, if we go lower, and you still have those games on your regular PC. So if you're at home, you can still play them there. You're not, locked to a specific console, or locked to a specific platform and can only stream them or something.
Yeah, totally. But I'm looking forward to trying more streaming options. I'm signed up for xCloud beta, but have not been contacted for it yet. And
I need to get on the PSO2 beta.
I saw that I read that you need to own an Xbox.
Oh,
and be in the insider program.
No, maybe they changed the requirements because all it requires is a phone, is what they say, and a Bluetooth enabled Xbox controller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it's different, but I was gonna sign up because they're like, oh, we're opening like registrations again, but it was like you need to be in the Xbox insider program, own an Xbox, and have like the phone and a controller. But maybe that's different. Maybe I was something else.
Yeah, I didn't see those requirements when I was signing up. So, but yeah, we'll see. Either way, xCloud, GeForce Now, good experience. Would recommend to at least try.
Cool. Anyways, I tried to get into the Japanese beta, but I didn't get in.
Yeah.
It's only for like SoftBank, which is cell phone provider SoftBank customers, which is weird. But they're, I guess, working with SoftBank for like data center stuff, maybe. I don't know.
That would probably make sense. But also, I don't know how it's going to work for Sam because they're no longer part of the European Union. So,
yeah, as of today. Fuck everything. Well, actually, as of yesterday at 11 o'clock for some reason.
Yeah, I did see that.
That was midnight in Europe, I think.
Midnight in Brussels.
Yeah, probably. But on a lighter note, we can get away from the video game shit and start talking about the real shit. No, sorry, the real good stuff.
Are you going to take us to a good place here, Alex?
I am. What's up, Sam?
I was going to say, I literally have paused in the other room, The Good Place, with 1 minute left of episode 49. So if we could keep the spoilers light.
No, this is totally spoiler-free.
This is spoiler-free, especially since people, if you're listening to this and you haven't watched the show, go watch.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm even going to spoil like anything from the first season. It's just going to be kind of in impressions on how they handled everything.
Season 2 onward, fair game. Alex is going to spoil it all. Scene by scene rundown.
Okay, so the very last scene in the very last episode. No. So yeah, I was kind of late to the party on The Good Place. Like I know Allison and Sam, you guys have been watching it for way longer than I have. And you guys kept talking about it in our chat. It's like, all right, these two care about it. Obviously, let's give it a shot. And got like halfway through the first season. I was kind of like, this is not great. Or like maybe not great, but I was just like, this seems fine. It doesn't seem to be like something that people should be going crazy for. And then finished the first season. I was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty great. And then the second season was like, yeah, this is pretty great. Third season, like, yeah, it's pretty great. So it was pretty consistent after that. So totally on board with you guys. And by the time I had watched it, I was catching up. Like, I think I got on board as the third season was ending. So I was able to see those kind of live, which was good. So fourth season, I was watching week by week for a while, but then got really busy. So I just watched the last like 3 or 4 episodes in one chunk. And I will say, in my opinion, you guys can either agree or disagree. It's up to you. I thought season 4 was really strangely paced. I think
it was kind of.
Sorry, I was just gonna say like the first half seemed a little bit meandering and also like kind of slow paced, and also had these. It just kind of randomly introduced new characters that weren't really particularly well developed by the end of their arc. And then the second half was kind of like ultra fast paced, and it seemed like they were trying to wrap everything up and like just tie up as many loose ends as they possibly could. Like, not saying that's a bad thing. It was just a very strange season in that sense. I don't know if you guys feel that way too.
I mean, I would agree with it. I still think it's like a remarkably consistent show. considering all 4 seasons I think are quality. But okay. But I do agree that the pacing was a little bit weird.
Yeah.
And maybe that kind of lends credence to the idea that they decided, okay, let's end this show.
Yeah, totally.
They clearly wanted to end it before it got genuinely bad, or at least like a dip in quality.
Agreed. But I will say like the last 2 episodes, so the penultimate and the last one, were probably the best that show's been in a lot of ways. Like, I think one of the hardest things that a show can do is end, because like it's very difficult to satisfy everyone, and like ambiguous endings are always going to be more interesting than something canonical, I guess, because whoever it is has the mystery of like, oh, maybe it went this way, maybe it went that way, even if it's not ideal. It gives people some kind of, they can use their imagination, they can kind of figure out what they want, and so this show has a very definitive ending.
It does, but like I feel like I don't know if I've seen people who are upset with it. Like, I feel like it's mostly most of the people that I've seen, including myself, feel like, yeah, this is fitting, this is right. And totally. Alex yesterday was sending me links of people discussing it and like finding out more implications from it, and you're just like, oh, it like even the more you think about it, the more it feels right.
Yeah, I would like to talk about those spoilers, but now is neither the time nor the place.
Maybe we'll have a spoiler cast eventually. Maybe I don't know.
After Sam is finished or something. But
yeah,
I think it was a very good ending. It ended the way it should have. Like, even if I was going in at this, like I think you said this, Allison, going into the last episode, you didn't know exactly how you wanted it to end, and maybe the way it ended isn't how you wanted it to end, but the way they justified it and the way they executed it seems like it couldn't have ended any other way.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I feel like I was thinking about it. If you asked me before I watched that episode, how do you want this show to end? I could have a wide variety of answers, and I don't think this is what I would have landed on. But now that I've seen it, I don't think it could have ended any other way.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's really good. It's a good show.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting to it. I stopped before the last episode of the 3rd season because I heard it was real sad. So I was like, you know what? I'll wait till the 4th season's finished, and then I'll enjoy.
It's a really good show, but I have to say, part of this could be me being really emotional about the show ending. I cried so many times during that episode, and then I went to the bathroom and started thinking about it and started crying. And yesterday, Alex and I were talking about it. I started crying just because we were talking about it. So it's like, it gets you. It's not like, I don't want that to be a spoiler, because I am also very emotional about movies and like media. So I cry at a lot of stuff, but this show got me.
Yeah. There are definitely some parts that I could say like, yeah, definitely was pretty much there. I almost wanted to give an example, but no, not yet.
No. No spoilers.
I was the way they wrap up certain character arcs, and the method by which they do so are definitely emotionally affecting.
Yes.
Well, speaking of Netflix shows that are coming to an end,
or have come,
Riverdale is in its final season.
Is it?
And it is. It is in its final season. There's only
how did Arrow outlast Riverdale, the most popular show on the internet?
Arrow's over, isn't it?
Yeah, but like it was in its final season this year, and it had like 4 more seasons before Riverdale started.
Oh,
Genuinely shocked it's over. I thought it was hugely popular.
Well, I mean, it is, but like
I don't think it's
like one school year, and they're in high school, and I guess they're leaving. Yeah, so
I think they were always going to do 4 seasons of it.
Yeah,
I don't think it's like
this season is the last season 3 was wild, and they're like setting up some interesting stuff for the end of season 4.
I want to watch that show.
I don't watch Riverdale.
Ridiculous. You should
just look at Susanna Polo's screen caps from Riverdale that she posted to Twitter, and she's like, "Hey guys, this happened in Riverdale this week," and one of them was, I think, shirtless Archie stood in the middle of a room of guys wearing like red clan hoods, and they're all holding knives.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like cult stuff in season 3.
Season 3 is literally about an evil Dungeons and Dragons game.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of it, and literally the only thing I know,
evil game will just.
Literally the only thing I know about the show, other than just like general Archie knowledge, is that one of the characters does a striptease to a cover of Mad World. And
it's
it's a very good show.
It's literally the only thing I like know. I'm like, okay, Riverdale, Archie comics, striptease to Mad World. I'm like,
it's so bizarre. And like the first season, I was like, what year is this? When does this take place? Where do these people live?
What they should do is they should end the show. It's done. And then in like 2 or 3 years, come back and just say, we're launching a new show. It's called Riverdale, with a whole new cast, recast all the characters, start back over from their freshman year, and just do another 4 years of weird batshit stuff.
Well, in the Archie comics, like, doesn't Archie become like president or something? Or
Archie
dies. I don't know.
He dies in
Archie,
another one. Yeah.
So minor spoilers for Riverdale, but just like how out there it gets. In season 3 of Riverdale, Archie is in juvenile detention in an underground boxing fight club.
I've heard this.
And he is attacked by a bear at one point.
What?
And it's just
excuse me?
Yeah, they break him out of prison. There's a prison break.
Jeez.
It's
apparently I need to get back into
Do I
those
need to watch
shows.
this show?
Yeah, I think you do, Allison. It seems like a you show,
it's
a you thing.
Incredible. It's absolutely.
Does Archie have the map to the prison tattooed on his body?
No.
So I stopped watching that show like halfway through the first season because I got to the point where they made it to like the brooding Jughead, and I was like, "Are you serious?" Okay, I thought it was taking itself seriously at that point, and I was like, "Okay." Because this was still when it was out. Like,
because I've seen the whole like I'm a weirdo or whatever that is, and I'm like, okay.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's a joke. It's not.
Yeah, like I thought it was super self-serious because it was only the first season that was out at that point. So
no, it's very self-aware.
Okay, apparently I should go back to it.
It's so over the top, and like they're running a speakeasy out of the bottom of Pops called Le Bon Nuit.
Okay, we'll check out Riverdale.
I think you probably should. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna get live.
I'm not gonna say it's good, but it is great.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
I also, that is on my list, and then also fucking Sabrina is on my list now. Like,
there's like
apparently Sabrina got real bad.
Oh, that's a bummer. I've heard good things.
I heard the opposite.
I've heard a lot of people people that I know in real life saying that they have really screwed Sabrina up. Like that season 1 was amazing, and it's only been downhill from there.
See, I heard
the Sabrina comic is very good.
I've heard that season 2 is like is interesting because of the different the direction that it goes in is like they're very much going in a thing that works for me, which is like season 1 was all Satanist stuff, and then season 2 gets into like pagan pantheons, and then season 3 is supposed to be all eldritchy stuff. So that's what my friend was saying anyway, is that it's very like the seasons have themes, and that's something I enjoy. So I don't know.
But you know, it is both good and great. The finale of Bojack Horseman.
Oh, I was gonna say you, but okay.
No, certainly not.
I like you a lot more than Bojack Horseman, Alex, just so you know.
Well, if we're talking about the character, I think that's kind of the point of the show.
I like you a lot more than the show.
Oh, well, that's appreciated. But yeah, no. The final half of the final season came out for Bojack Horseman yesterday. So, being someone with no self-control, I watched all of it. It was split throughout the day. It wasn't all at once. And it's really interesting because it also has a similar kind of feeling to the final season of The Good Place in that the pacing kind of goes a little bit haywire in some points, where it's just like, oh wait, now we're wrapping up everything really, really fast. And it seems like the writers were like, oh, we had all these grand ideas, so we have like these plot points that we wanted to spend, I don't know, maybe a small 2-episode arc on in some other season, but it literally gets reduced to like a 3-second scene in the actual execution of the final show, where it's like, do you guys want one minor spoiler?
Yeah, sure.
No, definitely
okay.
not. No.
Okay, wait.
I'm a huge fan, but I haven't had time to watch it.
I mean, if
Sam,
people
headphones
want
off.
spoilers, it's fine.
Sam, headphones off.
Yeah.
It's really minor. Allison, you okay? It's pretty minor.
Cool.
There's a relationship they spend building up for the first half of the 4th season. The character Pickles, and then
Pickle Rick is in the show.
Yeah,
I'm sold.
Fuck. But basically, the conclusion of that arc is taken care of with a text message. And if you're not paying attention, you could totally miss it. Like it happens off screen, and it's about 3 seconds long. But it seems like they wanted to give it like a couple full episodes, but they couldn't.
That's weird because I am nowhere near caught up with it, but knowing that character, I would assume that there would have been.
Yeah, but like it's stuff like that made it feel a little bit fast. But it wasn't bad, and honestly, it felt like a reasonable conclusion to that part. But I will say that the second to last episode of the show is maybe the best episode in the entire series.
Ooh.
The funeral.
Yes. Like I think it's possibly the best episode of that entire show, and it's just really fascinating in its execution. And I think that similar to The Good Place, it ends how it should. Like it has an ending, and the way they wrapped everything up leaves enough ambiguity to, like I was saying before, where it's like you can kind of draw your own conclusions, and that's a good thing. It's not as definitive as The Good Place, and also I think that's probably a good thing. So fans of that show, I think you'll be satisfied with how that show ends, because the writing is really good all the way through.
But how do I know when I'm satisfied?
Just wait 20 minutes. It takes a while for your stomach to send you the signal.
That's why you got to eat real fast. And that's why, like, when you go to yakiniku, Korean barbecue, you got to order as much as you can right off the bat, and then just shove it all on your face.
Yep. And also, you can just go to the folder and look at all the videos if you really wanted. I assume we're talking about the same reference.
Yeah.
Okay, great. But yeah, no, Bojack Horseman, that's another one that might be worth a spoiler cast at some point. Maybe we should have a joint Good Place and Bojack Horseman spoiler cast.
Hey, don't forget Riverdale.
Sam, Allison, and I will have finished all of those. And probably won't have
I will definitely
Riverdale.
I will definitely be able to finish Bojack. I don't know about Riverdale, but I'll start it.
Yeah. I think we could at least have those two.
Has anyone apart from me watched Sex Education on Netflix?
No.
I've heard it's
so
good.
funny. Gillian Anderson plays a sex therapist at a like John Hughes style high school that's set in England, and all the cast are English, but everything else is like John Hughes Americanized, and it's very, very stylistic and cool, but it also happens to be very funny. So the main character is the son of Gillian Anderson's sex therapist, and he is giving sex advice to other kids at the high school for money. And it's like each episode is about a different problem that one of the kids has. So like in season 2, there's one where young children don't listen to this. A girl is having sex with her boyfriend, and every time she reaches orgasm, she covers his face with a pillow, and he's like, "It feels like you're trying to kill me." And it's the whole episode is all about what she's doing, why she's doing it, and resolving her problem. It's really good. And that's just like one episode of season 2. Season 2 is much better than season 1, and season 1 is very good.
Okay. Well, if you're a dirty pervert like Sam, then you can check out Sex Education on Netflix, or you can find our podcast on Pornhub.
There's a lot of nudity in season 1, but I don't think there's been any nudity in season 2. So
all right,
yeah, I'll probably pass. But
it's very funny. It's just a good British comedy.
While we're all sharing television show recommendations, I have to say, in the last episode of the first season of Clone Wars, Cad Bane snaps someone's neck and it says bones crack in the subtitle. Then he throws a grenade and kills a room full of people, one of which survives and reaches out to Aura Singh, who shoots him in the face execution style with a pistol. And then, like, Cad Bane proceeds to kidnap and attempt to murder an entire group of senators. That show gets fucking rough.
That's awesome.
And I guess I won't watch that when I get Disney Plus next month.
No, I mean, you should. I'm amazed that they allowed that to be put on children's television, because
the Cartoon Network.
Dark as hell.
That's awesome.
There's an entire episode of Riverdale where they're performing Carrie the musical. It's like based around them producing and performing Carrie the musical.
It's a good book.
Anyway,
also in the Good Place.
That's it for games, I believe.
Wait,
Sam?
One second.
Oh,
in the Good Place, there's a character named Patty who shows up near the end, and it's played by an actress that is amazing. And once you see that reveal, your mind will explode.
Is it
Patty
Bob
is
Odenkirk?
very good.
You saw that, right? That when they revealed who the actress was, I was like, oh fuck.
All right. Well, Sam, do you want to talk about Cold Steel?
Timothy Oliphant appearance.
No, not Timothy Oliphant. Cold Steel. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I just want to. I'm coming back around on this from speaking about it a few weeks ago. I still think it's fantastic. It is very much in similar ways to Tokyo Mirage Sessions. It's kind of a Persona light. So you have activity points you can spend on your free days, but you only get one free day a month. So that it uses the calendar stuff in the same way Persona and Fire Emblem do. But it's much more rigid in terms of the story structure. Basically, every month you get free day, then there's some story, then there's a combat exam, then there's a field trip, and the field trip is the majority of the chapter of gameplay. So I just finished a few days ago. I just finished an extremely, extremely cool story section. I don't want to talk too much around it because I know that Pat has said he's vaguely interested in playing.
Absolutely. I will not promise a time frame for this. It may not be for 10 more years before I finish those games, but I do want to play them because they look really cool. They'll
finally be almost finished with the series by that time. So
yeah. And I do intend to play Trails in the Sky before I play Trails of Cold Steel.
So Trails of Cold Steel 4 is the last Trails of Cold Steel game. They've said they're working on another series in the Trails series. And there's going to be some Gaiden games, and they are remastering the two games that were never released in the West. They haven't said if they're releasing the remasters in the West, but they are remastering them. But the next I think they're saying there's at least a trilogy left, but that's it. When that trilogy is done, the Trails series is done, and they're going to move on to something else, which usually will just mean that they have another JRPG, but they'll set it in a new world with a new combat system, because all of the Trails games have the same combat system basically. So I'm really enjoying Trails of Cold Steel. The characters are like slowly being basically every time you go on one of these field studies, you go to someone's home usually, and you learn more and more about the characters. So there were a couple of characters where I was like, oh, I know everything there is to know about this person. He is a kid who likes music. And then you find out that he didn't want to come to the military academy. He wanted to go to the music academy. And you find out why he did end up coming to the military academy, what the deal is with his family, like loads of stuff. And everything kind of ties in with everything else. So even though there's like a whole world of stuff that I'm missing, because I haven't played the Trails in the Sky series or the Trails to Zero, Trails. I can't remember what Trails to Azure is, what the unofficial translation is, because they've never been translated into English. There's a duology where you basically play a cop in a small free state called Crossbell.
Oh, Spider-Man.
I believe it's called Crossbell.
Yes. Crossbell is the state.
Well, but also the game. I thought the games were called. It was called.
Oh, I think they're informally called the Crossbell duology.
Gotcha. Okay.
But they're Owl no Kiseki and something else. And Owl is Zero, and I can't remember what the other one is. Sora no Kiseki, which I think is meant to be Azure. Azure is the unofficial translation to both. But yeah, so I'm really liking Legend Heroes Trails of Cold Steel, and I'm hoping to finish it this weekend, because I'm almost up to what I think is basically at the beginning of Trails of Cold Steel, there's an abilities. So they show you a section where you're level 50 much later in the game. And I'm level 42 now, so I'm assuming I'm coming up on that, because the characters that you aren't playing when you go on the field study are leveled up to a set level every time. So like some of the characters that went on the field study are level 43, but like all the others are 42. So that shows you what rough level the game thinks you should be. So I'm coming up on, I think I've got one more month, which I'm in the middle of now, before I go on to go back to the beginning. And then there's an end section. I did see Michael Hyam on Twitter saying that the end of Trails of Cold Steel was about 5 to 10 hours longer than he thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I was going to ask, does it go JRPG? Do you think it would, like, it's traditional enough JRPG to do the JRPG thing of having an ending and then having another ending and then probably another ending?
Well, apparently it ends on a huge cliffhanger.
Oh, good.
Because all of the Trails games, because they're designed to be kind of like novels in a series, like a fantasy series, like Game of Thrones style, they all end on huge cliffhangers. Apparently, the Trails in the Sky cliffhanger is terrible. It's like Halo 2 level of like, oh, guys, you should have just finished this sort of thing. But although that is apparently because the original Trails in the Sky was developed as one game and they realized it was too big, and then they cut it into 3 chapters.
Cowards.
Huh.
Yeah. I'd love to play a remaster that's just everything all in one, like a 300-hour JRPG or story.
God, that's
yeah,
terrifying.
Could you imagine? Well, I'm currently 50 odd hours into Trails 1. Trails 2 you have to play twice. So hold on tight, everybody.
I don't think I'm going to do that when I get to those games.
So, I mean, obviously you haven't played it yet, but do you know, are there any meaningful, like, mechanical differences between the two? Like, obviously Persona 4 and Persona 5 feel different to play because they added a bunch of systems. Do you know if they did that between 1 and 2 for here?
So I don't know if there's any new systems. I did catch a bit of gameplay in a YouTube video I was watching the other day, like of the combat, and the menu is exactly the same.
Okay.
So I guess we'll find out. But there's definitely a load of stuff going on that they haven't delved into at all. And I don't think they have time to delve into. There's a huge subplot with the main character who has like a giant scar on his chest. And it's like, he basically kind of Super Saiyans at one point, which is not something that I have seen anyone else do in that universe, or
does he
anything
go beyond
approaching it.
Does he go beyond Super Saiyan? To
Beyond
Super Saiyan
plus
2?
Super, you say?
No, Super Saiyan 2.
We'll get there.
I will say, I was looking in the Trails in the Sky series. The games are not as long individually as Trails of Cold Steel. It's
I think 30 to 40 hours.
Yeah, that's the only reason that I would consider playing them first, is because you can play all 3 of them in around 100 hours, which like when I set myself to something, I don't know, I played The Witcher 3 in like a month, and I put 120 hours into that game in a month, because that's just like all I did with all of my free time. So the idea of playing the Trails games over the course of 5 to 10 years is doable.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say I'm genuinely tempted to get to pick up a Vita so that I can play the Trails 2 on the train, simply because it's taken me a really long time to play Trails 1 in the snatched 20 minutes, half an hour that I can get every few days with my PS4. I managed to play about an hour this morning, which was great, but I managed that by getting up at 6 a.m. So on Saturday morning, and I know that Alex and Pat are both up at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning, but you know, but yeah, so it's a really good game. I've talked about it a lot before, I guess, but the story's good. Basically, the first 2 chapters of it are like, we're introducing the world. This is the state of the world. This is kind of the element in play politically, because the game is the story is very political. It's basically about a civil war between a noble faction and a commoner faction. And key figures in that faction are family members of main cast members. And it's kind of implied that you've all been thrown together to try and solve this problem before it becomes a civil war.
Wait, why are we talking about Fire Emblem Three Houses?
Well, this game came out way before Fire Emblem Three Houses, so Nintendo.
No games came out before 2019. You know that.
It's true.
Yeah, you're right.
Everyone knows that Fire Emblem Three Houses is the first ever video game.
It's true.
First and last. Alpha and Omega.
Yeah. And Trails 3 is out on Switch.
Omega Sapphire and Alpha Ruby. Alpha Sapphire, Omega Ruby.
Koei Tecmo apparently did the majority of the work on Three Houses, which is crazy. I found that out recently.
You know what that means? Here comes Advanced Wars.
Well, we kind of got that.
They should call it Switch Wars.
Did we talked about Wargroove, didn't we?
Yeah, we did talk about
that. Wasn't the same people. Yeah, we talked about Wargroove.
Yeah. I know Allison played it, but anyways, sorry, unrelated.
But yeah, the Trails 3 is out on Switch, and it's out on Switch in March. So cool. My goal is to beat Trails 1 and Trails 2 by March. If I have time, I will try the New Game Plus of 2, but I don't think I will have time. I will probably end up watching that cutscene on YouTube, like most people have suggested. But I think it would be fun to be able to play it. So, yeah.
Speaking of long-running JRPG series out of those companies, has anybody played Atelier?
Nope.
Or Atelier, however you want to pronounce it.
I have one game on PC and one on Switch, but I actually really genuinely really want to get into that series. I think that's going to be my next
It also project. Seems kind of awesome from what I've heard.
It does.
Like, similar to Trails of Cold Steel and all this, like all these games. Like it seems like it has just a lot of continuity between games, and it's telling a really interesting story throughout just a long series.
Yeah, and I've watched a couple of videos about it, and it feels like there's an interesting kind of world in some of these games, especially from what I've heard, the Dusk series, which they just released those on Switch, re-released from PS3, where basically from my understanding, having just heard about it, is that it's kind of a world where resources are becoming more and more scarcer, and the world is basically dying, which we cannot relate to, but they kind of deal with that as part of that trilogy. But also just the way that it emphasizes crafting, and
it seems neat.
Yeah, it's I think that might be my next project after I finish Tokyo Mirage Sessions, is to play started getting into those Atelier games.
There's a lot of them, and
there are a lot of them.
They're also like
there's like 2 a year, aren't there? Usually,
and they're like all expensive on Steam.
Yeah,
like I'm looking at them right now. They're all.
Yeah, I think
of $40.
I think the one I got it on sale, so I do think they go on sale. But
that's not a reason not to play them. I mean, they're all fully featured long JRPGs.
Yeah.
So like I'm sure that they justify the price tag. They're just I'm looking at like to buy them all, you would have to spend like $400 or $500.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why I have it on Steam, other than I just buy a lot of Steam games. But I think I got it for pretty cheap. So
yeah, they seem like good ones to get on sale.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry to distract. That just kind of reminded me.
Yeah, no, that's definitely it's series that I aspire to get into when I am done with my current JRPG.
All right. Well,
there are 21 games in that series, in the base series,
Sick.
and another
Boy, howdy.
15 or so side games.
Almost up there with Kingdom Hearts. Speaking of Kingdom Hearts, that brings us to the news for this week. Kingdom Hearts Dark Road. It's a mobile game. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We don't know what it is still. Kingdom Hearts Dark Road. It's about Xehanort, I guess. That's all I have to say about that. But one thing I do have thoughts on. Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Oh yes,
came out.
I love Warcraft 3.
Oh, me too. A surprise launch of the Reforged, kind of remaster.
Cool.
Came
So it
out
looks
this
better?
week. Maybe, kind of, a little bit. I mean, they patched in widescreen support and like high resolution. So the base game.
I can't wait to play all my favorite like mods and maps.
Well, Alex, too bad, because all the good maps like Anime Arena have been taken out because Blizzard fucked up.
Motherfucker.
Metacritic score of Warcraft 3 Reforged is 0.8.
Out of 1?
0.8. Is it out of 100? I assume
it's out of 100. Yeah.
Oh,
the gamers are upset.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I will say it does. I did see some people pointing out that this has actually been the policy in StarCraft 2 forever.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make it any better, but it was very much to be expected that this was going to be the way it is.
Yes. I think the big thing is it takes out a lot of the content that was in Warcraft 3 that was very popular in Warcraft 3. It also deactivated, like you can't play Warcraft 3 anymore. You can only play the Reforged version.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that part of it.
It broke,
man.
or it didn't break. Like the servers or something.
Yeah,
I don't know
they
exactly
switched the servers over to the Reforged version.
So it overwrote original Warcraft 3.
Basically, like you can still boot old Warcraft 3, but you can't I don't know if it's you can't play it at all or you can't play online. I'm not.
That's
exactly
rough.
sure,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Blizzard continues to be a garbage fire. Is basically the.
And so there's also some other weird things, like animations are still like 20 frames per second, even though like you can like run the game higher, but like units animate at 20 frames per second.
Yeah.
The cutscenes are like bad. They said they were going to do a lot of stuff like redo cutscenes and like some audio stuff and like add in and like change the story. And then they're like, you know what? We're not going to do any of that.
So there's
I think they were
put into it.
I think they were upfront about that stuff. But still,
it's baffling to me. It's baffling to me that they think they can continue to get away with this shit. Like
the gamers
people are going to stop buying their video. I mean, what am I saying? People are going to buy Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 will fucking sell incredibly well. Everyone's saying that they're boycotting and now buying games. They're going to like, you're going to be able to do the Call of Duty screenshot of a friends list of people playing.
The thing is, and we've something we've talked about in our private chats, but have not mentioned here. But though Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 are going to play amazingly, they're going to look amazing, and they're probably going to be real fun. But the issue with Blizzard is all their fucking management. Like they keep making these boneheaded decisions and just like completely like anti-game players. Like it's totally, they're doing everything for the sake of, you know, fiscal shit, and none of it makes sense. Like it's I think it's even removed from Activision at this point, because Modern Warfare isn't as insidious as a lot of the Blizzard stuff has been over the past
it's surprisingly
two
like
or 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, like it has a battle pass, and there's a lot of cosmetic shit you can buy, but it's not. None of it feels like oh fuck, I'm gonna miss out on this stuff. Like it feels very much like whatever. If you want this cosmetic shit, you can get it, or you can just play the game. It's I don't know. I've been very impressed with how little they push the monetization in Modern Warfare, and like all gameplay relevant stuff is totally free in that game. I mean, not free because you buy the game, but you don't have to pay for DLC or anything.
And you know, if they've had players from Hong Kong, they haven't banned them from play for, you know, for voicing their opinions. I don't know if that's super true. I haven't looked into that, but still,
I don't know. I can tell you that there's no that Hong Kong does not have a team in the Call of Duty League, so I don't know that it will be an issue. It's that higher level stuff that's been happening that just makes me really feel icky about Blizzard. Yeah, for sure.
And also, while we're on the topic of Blizzard, they have rolled out an update to Overwatch, and they have changed some stuff in the competitive mode.
Oh God, yeah, that was so stupid.
People have been asking for like a ban phase or something. You know, the ability to ban heroes, is that what they call them? Heroes in the competitive mode, to allow some like counterplay, and you know, like, oh, this hero's broken right now, just ban them.
Which is normal in competitive games, like let's say Dota. Yeah, like that is a mode
or like Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah,
right. You can ban champion, or
I don't know. I actually have never played
operators. That's what they call. I think
they're called operators.
Maybe not. Yeah, operators. But Blizzard's solution is, you know what? No, we're gonna rotate the available pool of heroes each week, and we're gonna choose who is available. Like, why do you have to make it more? Let people play what they want, but if someone gets banned, they get banned. But it doesn't solve the problem, really. It just makes it so people, like, some weeks will be worse than others, because some weeks the champion or the heroes that are broken will be available.
I think like kind of on that note, to your point, Alex, about Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 playing amazingly, I'm sure that you're right. I'm sure they will play amazingly. Diablo 3 plays amazingly, Diablo 2 plays amazingly, and Diablo 1 plays amazingly. Like Overwatch 1 plays amazingly. They're going to make the same game again with some new stuff in it. And it's like, yes, they've made really good games in the past, but they very much make the same games over and over again.
I would disagree slightly, but please continue.
But like when they tried to make Diablo different, everyone was like, this sucks. And then they made it closer to what it was originally, you know?
That's true.
Like, so I don't know. I mean, they've certainly, they don't feel innovative to me anymore. Even Overwatch, which plays amazingly, exists because Team Fortress 2 existed first. Like, it's very derivative of Team Fortress 2. They have expanded upon that and made a wider roster of interesting characters for sure. But I don't know. I'm just very over their whole like thing of making the same game for a long time.
I think that's super valid. The only reason I disagree is because when Overwatch came out, they had never made a shooter before. So that is different than anything they had done up until that point. So like,
sure.
Yes, you're right. It is cribbed from Team Fortress 2, but like, that's kind of like, for me, it's similar to saying like, oh, if Firaxis stopped making Civ for a game and then made like a Battlefield, and I'd be like, huh?
Yeah, I guess the thing is that like Overwatch came out in 2015.
Yeah.
So that was like the one kind of very new feeling game they had made and I mean, again, Hearthstone exists, but I think that's different because it's still a strategy game. Like it's different structurally, but it's drawing from groundwork already laid by other games. Like it actually is basically the World of Warcraft trading card game that Cryptozoic made, but they made some changes to it. Right. So they simplified it. So I almost don't count Hearthstone, but either way, those are like two newish games that feel genuinely different in like 20 years.
Yeah, no, I think
not 20 years, 15 years.
Totally valid. But yeah, my point with what I'm going for is like, again, I don't blame a single artist or an animator or a programmer or a sound designer or anything like that. My negativity towards Blizzard at this moment is purely focused a couple levels above them.
Yeah, there's super talented people at Blizzard that make things, that make the games that they make, and clearly have range to make other things really, really well. So I would never like shit on a mid or whatever level worker there. It's all in the decision making at the top of the company that is the problem.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
The gamers are and will continue to be upset. Next up on the news list, Alex.
Hey.
Steins Gate 0 Elite.
Yeah, that'll be really cool.
What is Steins Gate 0 and what does it mean to be elite?
Wait.
Steins Gate 0 is an alternate version of Steins Gate.
No, it isn't.
Based on a different timeline, isn't it?
It's not an alternate. God. So there is a bad end at the end of Steins Gate, which is the canonical bad end, which then you go through it and then it resolves into the true ending. But like some stuff happens in that bad end that they kind of hand wave away, being like, oh, this happened over the course of like 30 years. That they're like, oh, and then like it adds weight. Steins Gate 0 is breaking out of that bad end and showing that whole story, like that whole basically like 30-year story.
So it's like if in Zero Time Dilemma, that's the second one, right?
Yeah.
Third one,
sorry.
Third one.
Virtue's Last Reward.
Virtue's Last Reward. Wait, no. Okay, no, it is the third one. That's like if they went from the end of the third Nonary game and showed you between the end of that and the beginning of the second one. Or that one ending. The canonical ending, like bad ending or whatever.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, that's not
90-year period or whatever.
Yeah, that's not totally unreasonable for a comparison. But yeah, it's a whole separate story, but it's still technically part of the main Steins Gate game. But Steins Gate 0 is far darker.
Okay.
And it's really good. So I'm looking forward to it.
So Elite is just the remaster, updated version, like what we got with Steins Gate last year.
Correct. It's going to have the same treatment, but I'm also very interested because while there was an anime of Steins Gate 0, it's also very different from the VN, so they can't just reuse all of those assets from the show. So they might have to make like completely new stuff, and I'd be interested in seeing how they do that.
Okay. Well, next up on our list of news is they made an Animal Crossing Switch.
It's real good.
Yeah, it looks so good.
It looks so good.
I don't even care about Animal Crossing, but I'm like, damn, I want that.
I'm not going to play Animal Crossing, but I'm tempted by that Switch.
I am so tempted. I won't, but that is me exercising a lot of restraint here. So, like, just know the level of restraint that me not buying the Animal Crossing Switch is.
Yeah, it looks
so
the back of the Joy-Cons are cream, and I'm weirded out by that.
That's cream. Get the money, dollar bills, y'all.
True.
Or dollar bells, y'all.
Oh my god.
Dollar bills. Oh.
All right. Well, that's it for what Switch would you like to see? Which branded Switch would you like to see?
Oh, boy.
Like in this style, kind of.
Outer Wilds one made out of wood.
Okay.
Galgun.
No. Look, you can print whatever anime porn you want to put on your Switch yourself.
It's called hentai.
Okay.
And it is an art. Thank you very much.
Galgun is not a hentai. It's an edgy.
I'm not doing this. This is not what this podcast is about.
This podcast has always been edgy. What are you talking about?
All right.
God.
Well, with that, that's going to bring us to our newest segment.
What?
Beep, 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 beep. New
You
segment.
can't do that's very much in use in other places. You can't do news beeps.
We got some questions from listeners.
Yeah,
we're gonna read them. Maybe we'll answer them.
Maybe
We'll
not.
We'll see. We'll say, hey, why would you ask us this? You're messed up, man, or lady, or
folks.
non-binary person. All right, so you're all valid, but you're messed up. So, speaking of messed up,
You're valid, but you're perverts.
I think that's what a beautiful statement. You're all valid, but you're messed up.
Speaking of messed up, our first question comes in from Sam on Twitter. Best Fast and Furious character. Well, Sam, thanks for writing in.
Speaking of perverts.
Like, is it Hobbs or is it Shaw? Now, guys,
It's neither. It's Han. There's only one correct answer, and it's Han. And if you say otherwise, you're out of here.
I haven't seen the movies, but isn't it Michelle Rodriguez?
She's also very good.
no.
But she gets kind of
I hate her character so much.
she gets
I hate her
fridged,
character
and then she
so
gets
much.
unfridged. You really should watch. Those movies are so good.
Okay.
Look,
I wouldn't be surprised if
Let's
like
talk seriously about Ludacris.
Ludacris is also very good.
That's
I
the
don't
thing.
know
It's too hard
his
to pick a
character's
favorite.
name. I want to say his name is Chris.
It's Tej.
Tej, there we go. Ludacris is great because they didn't really have anything for him to do, so they made him the hacker.
Yeah, in the first movie, he's just like a money man and like he has like connections. But in 5, he comes back and he's like is super smart. And like he's not smart in 2, but he is very good at like hacking saves and knowing security systems and things randomly. Very good at hacking.
There's also a very good Kurt Russell character in Fast and Furious.
Yeah,
he's fine.
Mr. Nobody. There's also,
you know who's the worst
Charlize
character?
Theron has a bowl cut in Fast 9.
I thought she sucked
Like
in
a
the
Naruto character bowl cut. It's bad.
You know who the worst character is? It's the guy they got. It's Clint Eastwood's son, who they used to replace Paul Walker in Fast 8. Yeah, Scott Eastwood in Fast 8. He's the worst character. Okay, moving on.
Like Scott Eastwood.
Moving on.
Alex, did you watch the Fast 9 trailer?
No. I did not.
There's an extremely funny Ludacris joke in it where this guy's like, look at this. And he's basically just got an old car and strapped a rocket engine to the top.
Yeah.
And Ludacris goes, is that a Pontiac Fiero with a rocket strapped to it? And he's like, impressive, right? And Ludacris goes, no, it's not. It's not impressive.
The delivery is what makes it funny.
Yeah,
and it is very
It's
funny.
very
for sure.
good.
That sounds so dumb. I love it.
It's
extremely
really
dumb.
And it made me think, oh, they're going to space. Okay, thanks, Siri. All right, next question comes in from Alex on Twitter.
Not me.
Does Mario fuck? Does he seal the deal, or is it a form of Sisyphusian torture where at the end of each game she gets kidnapped again and so on forever? What is wrong with you?
Look,
you're valid, but what is wrong with you?
Mario and Peach are both asexual. Next question.
But Luigi fucks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
so does
with Toads.
Gooigi fucks. I'm not gonna say that about.
I think does Luigi fuck Gooigi?
Oh.
Is that masturbation?
No.
Is that masturbation?
I'm just asking questions here.
How do Toads
I've seen the
reproduce?
original Ghostbusters. They grow from the ground. They grow from poop like mushrooms do.
All right. Next question.
Wait.
From,
so Birdo. What's up with that? Does Birdo
What
fuck?
isn't up with that? Well, obviously Birdo's a he.
He's got Birdo is a he.
Got them eggs.
Huh.
Okay.
You need to fuck to get eggs? I don't know.
No. Don't.
Next
Chickens lay
question,
eggs.
please.
But
every day.
Yes, but I mean, if you got eggs, presumably you want to fertilize them eggs. Anyway,
not necessarily.
Moving on. What's your most anticipated indie game this year from Cheska?
This is a very small title that I don't think many people have heard of. It's called Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Indie game.
Independent.
I'm pretty sure
Trails of Cold Steel 3.
That's also doesn't count. Those games are
They're
not
indie.
published.
They're an indie publisher. They're published by NIS America. They're indie.
Sure. Anyways,
they're independent.
Anyways, I'm pretty sure I've been shouting about this since the start of the podcast, but whenever Mineko's Night Market comes out, I'm so excited for that game.
Yeah. I'm also still looking forward to Neko Barista, even though it was supposed to come out halfway through last year.
Yeah.
And also, I'm interested in Super Meat Boy's Super Meat Boy Ultimate. Is that what's called? Forever. Thank you. That's what it is.
Believe it or not, Neko Barista was going to be my initial answer because I'm very excited for that game as well. I think, barring that, I think I'm really interested to see Noita's full release. It's in early access, so it's kind of a cheat because it's already been really well regarded. But I'm kind of waiting until they finish it and that comes out. That's supposed to be out in like September-ish if their early access thing holds true.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, at this point, I'm just kind of interested in seeing what Annapurna puts out next because they've been so consistently good.
Yeah. I think for me, it's the thing I'm most excited for. I don't know what it is yet. I'm excited to be surprised.
Example, when I was looking up quick serve delicious things, there's this game that just came out a couple days ago called Coffee Talk.
I really want to pick that up. That was actually I've been trying to do better about not buying every game I want to play. So that's been my goal, which sometimes I failed at, like when I purchased quick serve delicious the day of launch. But Coffee Talk looks like it's a really, really interesting game in the vein of like VA11 Hall A.
Yeah, it looks like Valhalla, but with coffee instead of beer, basically, or liquor. So anyway, there's stuff like that.
Half-Life Alyx.
Technically an indie game.
Yep. Okay. Moving on.
The most well-funded indie studio in the world.
I don't have VR, so I'm not looking forward to it.
No, me neither. I just thought it'd be funny to say.
I'm just gonna be sad about it because I don't want to play it in VR, but I love Half-Life.
I'm not excited for it. I want to, it's weird. I want to play it, but I'm not really anticipating it because I am sure it will be a cool Half-Life game, and also it will be a VR game, and that's always a pain. Even if, unless it's running natively on Quest, doing VR is a pain. So,
yeah.
Okay. Next question from Lawmanade on Twitter. If Sakurai gave you free reign to make one selection for the second fighter pass, what would it be? Mine would be Bub and Bob, and they would work similarly to Ice Climbers. Have to knock both out to get the KO. That is not how Ice Climbers work. You have to knock out Nana. No, not Nana. The other one to get the KO. You can knock out one, but if you don't knock out the main one, still in the game. What would their moveset look like? We don't necessarily have to do that part, but who would you want to see in the next Fighters Pass?
The ship from the Outer Wilds.
Adel God.
I know that there's no way to do this in any reasonable way.
Goku's not going in Smash, Allison. Give it up. I know.
The number one thing anyone knows about me is that I love Goku. If they were able to do
you broke Sam.
Wasn't prepared for that joke.
If they could do like a Pokemon trainer, but with all the characters from Octopath Traveler, give that to me.
That would be cool.
Okay.
That's not true. That's also a joke answer. But what if they put John Cena in Smash?
Yeah, that is a joke answer, Pat.
John Cena, Pokemon trainer. He plays different. He's the Marine, a wrestler, or Dom's brother.
Or
no, and
villain from Bumblebee.
His Super Smash, is that what the move is? The
Final Smash.
His final smash is he butt chugs and then he gets super strong and then he uses his seventh move of doom, the lightning fist.
I think I only have joke answers because my real answer would have been Banjo and Kazooie, and that happened. So
I
don't give him joke answers. Edelgard, Claude.
Yeah, let's put in some more. Let's put in some more Fire Emblem.
Everyone wants.
Yeah. But my idea with that was that you have all Edelgard, Claude, and Dimitri, but there is another Pokemon trainer like thing where you just use all of them at once.
So Byleth just like throws out those three.
That would be funny.
They jump in a tag attack.
But then you consolidate that so that you only have one new Fire Emblem character versus having three new, especially if you're.
No, I want all three.
Okay.
On screen at the same time.
All right. So
usually, of the 5 characters in the next fighter pack, Edelgard, Claude, Dimitri.
You should make a Reset Era thread about that.
Jesus. I think my pick would have to be an op from Counter-Strike. Like it just
okay, that's also a joke answer.
It self-propels and it can no scope and
okay.
Yeah.
My answer, serious answer, the main character, I guess, from Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Huh.
Oh, that'd be really good.
That'd be interesting.
I'd be into that.
Oh fuck!
I don't know what the moveset would look like, but there'd be a motorcycle and like a sword.
Wait a minute,
you'd shoot some shit.
Is that character the Wii Fit trainer, but like 10 years earlier?
Wii Fit trainer, but Wario because of the motorcycle.
Yeah,
and a sword. So it's also a Fire Emblem character. It's the best of all worlds.
How about Florence from Florence?
God, that would just make me cry every time the characters go up on screen.
I
put a Monster Hunter in there, baby.
Could we reasonably see Goose from Untitled Goose Game show up in?
Yeah,
I think that's an assist trophy.
But they put Piranha Plant. They can put the Goose.
How about
the Goose would never be able to win though? The Goose would just would never fall off because you could just
you couldn't control
back.
The Goose. It would just do what it wants.
You pick a direction and it just runs in that direction until you change the input.
And then it's like, I'm gonna run over here now.
And it only honks or grabs things.
I do have one serious answer.
Okay.
9S.
Yeah, but they already had a Nier character in what was that game? Not Dead or Alive.
Soul Calibur has 2
Rumble Roses.
That's what it was. Thank you.
No.
But I think you could have Madeline and Badeline from Celeste.
Oh, that'd be good. That could be fun.
You could be like be Madeline, and then like for some of her moves, send out Badeline.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty good. All right, last question of the episode from Eric Gettinger, who was on 2 episodes ago and also our question about does Mario fuck from Alex. He was also on 3 episodes ago, I believe, from the Super GG radio podcast from Eric. Should I go beyond plus ultra?
No.
Only if Aerie is with you.
So I'm going to say if you go beyond,
another porn thing.
You have to go. So you can go to Super Saiyan, but then you can go beyond a Super Saiyan. You can call that Super Saiyan 2. But
Allison,
then
can you confirm?
You can go. You can go even further beyond Super Saiyan to a Super Saiyan that is surpassed being a Super Saiyan.
So
to Super Saiyan 3.
Wait, no.
Sorry, are you going to slowly read out every single level of Saiyan?
Then you can go, if you get past like Super Saiyan God, then you can go Ultra Instinct. Not plus Ultra Instinct, please. So that's what you should do. Is you should get Ultra Instinct. Not even the gods can master that.
One of the classmates in Trails of Cold Steel, so they all have like swords and bows and arrows and like magic staves, and then just one of them has a shotgun. Like a big shotgun.
Okay.
And he like fully cocks it in cutscenes. It's very funny.
But as a serious answer to that very serious question, only if Eri is with you, and that makes sense if you've caught up to season 4.
I've only watched My Hero Academia 2 Heroes, so I could give you answers based on that movie and that movie only.
Yep. Well, spoilers.
No, I'm just not up to date.
Spoilers, in season 4, Deku goes up to 100%, and he almost dies because of it.
He opens all
doesn't
8
he do it with
gates
the
and
muscle
then
man? Muscular. Doesn't he go
body
past 100%?
explodes or something?
Right, but he goes sustained past 100% for like 20-minute fight in this, and he should have died, but the only reason he didn't is because Eri was involved.
Like
So
Kaioken
she has
times
a
20,
cool
I
horn.
see.
She does have a cool horn, so only go beyond if you have Eri with you.
Excellent.
Never go Kaioken times 20. It's a bad idea.
Jesus Christ.
If you guys have great questions for us that are as good as all these questions, email them to us. Andre?
You can email them to us at gaming@fix.space, or you can find us on Twitter @fixpodcasts and send them to us there.
Alternatively, if you have way worse questions than this,
You can go to the
Please
Pornhub
send them in.
please definitely send them in.
Yeah, if you have worse questions, send them
If you have
straight to
any
me on Twitter direct.
If you need life advice, we're the place. We've got our lives together. We have a podcast. We're qualified.
I've listened to dancers.
None of us are brothers, but we could probably do it.
What?
Pat has brothers.
I have a brother.
There's a very popular show called My Brother, and Me that is an advice podcast.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of it.
And not very popular, but extremely good TV show.
It was extremely good.
It's my favorite TV show of all time.
Wow.
I wouldn't go that far, but it's pretty good.
Let me tell you about
3 times a year
Riverdale.
every year.
Wow, that's
like I watch it. I'm like, I haven't seen it in 2 months. I'm going to watch the whole series.
The episode where Justin is driving around a tiny car and dragging like a crowbar or whatever it is on the ground is very funny.
where he calls Ellen's agent, and
also the one where Travis aggressively punches Justin hard, not in a joking manner over the spider thing, and then has to apologize. I really like the Justin goes, do you know what? I've made a decision. Fuck this. And then just walks out of the room when the spider's in there. Yes. Anyway, sorry, tangent. You look like some bread that a cape got on.
I wish I still enjoyed listening to my brother and me.
I don't enjoy the podcast, but that show I could watch over and over and over.
It's quite funny. If you want us to get a TV show, share us with your friends. Review us on iTunes or wherever fine podcasts can be reviewed.
Yeah, if you do have the opportunity, please leave a review. It helps us very much in getting kind of out there, and so more people can write extraordinarily stupid questions to us.
And if you write a good review, maybe we'll read it.
Include some like etchy questions in there, and Andre will have all the answers.
The more reviews we get, the closer we are to getting that Netflix deal.
I've been considering starting to write romance novels because there is Seattle's getting a hockey team soon.
That's a natural. That's a very natural.
Yeah, Allison knows. Allison knows.
Hockey romance is.
Allison knows.
Big.
So they one of the reasons they're not going to use the name the Sockeyes for the Seattle hockey team is because there is a local author who writes romance novels about the Seattle Sockeyes, the NHL team. They're the team in her books. And unfortunately, I found out that it is not the Seattle Sockeyes having romances with each other, which sounds good, and is instead
there's certainly fan fiction about it.
I bet
There's hockey fan fiction is a thing.
Anyway, I decided I could write romance novels about baristas in Seattle because I did a Google search and nothing came up. I'm sure that there's somewhere deep in like Libsyn or like Amazon self-publishing, someone's written these. It's
all on Amazon.
But I think that that's an untapped vein. And
you just put it out there.
If you know what I'm saying.
You gotta save this podcast on a USB stick. You have
email
to
it to yourself.
Buy a USB stick and then save the podcast, mail it to yourself.
I don't even want to keep other people from doing this. Let's create a community.
It's an extremely Gaming Fix chat group only related joke that Andre just made.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, maybe Alex can mail you a USB stick.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah,
I almost bought a Valentine's Day card today from Seattle.
Why?
Anyway, all right.
Because
we got to wrap this up.
An Arrested Development Tobias Fionke Valentine's Day card.
It's 2 a.m. We got to wrap this up.
Good night, Andre.
You wanted to slowly read every single Super Saiyan level, so I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, it's not my fault that this is what it is to go beyond a Super Saiyan, aka Super Saiyan 2.
I still don't trust you. I'm waiting for Allison to give me the definitive answers.
Yes.
What he said.
That's the answer. That's the answer. Yes.
Anyway, thanks for listening. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Fix Podcast, where you can send our questions and you can support our campaign to get The Rock on Bon Appetit YouTube content.
Or on Gaming Fix, whatever. We're not picky.
Yeah.
Actually,
why not both? Question mark.
So that's at
I
Fix
only
Podcast.
want Jason Statham.
You can email us at gaming@fix.space. You can find me, Andre, aka your girl's favorite Fast and Furious movie, at Coolslaw, COOLSL4W. Pat, where can people find you?
You can find me at PJC Plays. I want The Rock to come on the podcast instead of Jason Statham. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. And Alex, where can people find you?
What's that thing called? Byte? Didn't you sign us up for? Didn't you sign us up for Byte, Pat?
I gotta launch the app.
I downloaded Byte, but I also haven't launched it.
I have not launched it.
I just wanted to squat on my username. That's all I wanted to do.
You
One
can't
time someone
you can't,
messaged me on Instagram trying to get my username, and they're like, "Give me your username. I should have it." I'm like, "No, I'm not going to do that. I should have made him pay me."
Yeah, probably. But you can't find me anywhere. So other than that,
Okay.
that's it.
You can't see him, aka he's John Cena in the new Fast and Furious movie.
Well, let's get The Rock and John Cena.
Allison, where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter at WRITERSERENYTY.
Great. And Sam, where can people find you?
You can find me on Byte at give me 2 seconds to
SGCH?
account. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. I register for every new social network just to squat on SGCH in case it takes off.
Okay.
Cool. I've squatted. We have SGCH. We've
Sick.
done it, lads.
Good to know that that's the method for getting SDCH out there. Is you pop a squat and then it just kind of pops out.
God.
Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
We should do another clap at the end.
Yeah, we should do another clap at the end. But yeah, okay. Goodbye, listener.
Goodbye, listener.
Goodbye, listener.
Listeners, we have at least 2.
Well, I'm making them feel special. They don't have to know.
All right, time dot is
okay. Time dot is
15 or 20. We'll say 20.
20.
Just
20.
booting up. Time dot is 1 second, guys.
Okay.
20.
No.
Okay, 20. Yeah.
I was gonna love if we all did it and Sam didn't.
Yes,
because that would have defeated the purpose and it would have been real funny.
My first clap was a little quiet, but my second one's good.
Yeah, my first clap is.
So we're good?
We're good.
Yeah.
You just need one to sync up with Sam's audio, really. It could have just been.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause my